here you go. This is Emily C., my new bestie.
I hate the idea that someone out there hates me. I even hate thinking that Al-Qaeda hates me. I think if they got to know me, they wouldn't hate me.
This stole the show. Emily C. was phenomenal.
There's something you need to know.
What?
You're doing great.
Look at my baby. Here she is. Emily. 10 out of 10. Huge fan.
I see Emily C says 123. I trust her. She's really good.
Listen, Turtle. Listen, Turtle. You gotta watch your language. You gotta watch your language. I'm already live. So you need to follow the FCC guidelines. Shh.
She destroyed, left nothing in her path. It was so good.
Hi, guys. Hi again. I don't know if I've ever done like 2 back-to-back streams by myself. This is exciting. I feel like a real YouTuber. I wasn't planning to do this tonight, and then I was watching the it's not really a debate. It's like a forum. I was watching that today, and I was like stopping it every 2 seconds because there was like so much I wanted to say. I was like screenshotting and recording and tweeting it. And then I was like, you know what? We need to just all watch this together because there's so much. Thanks for coming. What are Kazi's people called? Are you guys Kazis? Does he have, do you guys have a name? Thanks for coming. I also, okay, Superstition Man said, hi, Emily and everyone from hot ass Arizona. I feel like Arizona's heat, though, is like the best kind of heat. I'm like always jealous of Arizona. Are you really antenna people? I love that. Wait, why are you guys antenna people? Like this? That's so cute. I also wanted to say I really appreciate things like this, Cusco, right? Because I was in Melanie's stream too, and then like Nurse Kim was still on, and I didn't want to go live yet. And then I saw Cusco, right, said like, I'm in Melanie's, but I plan on coming over here. And I was like, okay, like I'm not going to just be talking to myself. So I really appreciate that. Hi, Romy. I like that. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna jump right into it because there's so much in this forum, debate, whatever we're gonna call it, panel. It is actually, I need to start. I'm gonna do a little spoiler alert. I was trying to I don't want to say too much about what's gonna happen. We're just gonna all experience it together. But I want to show you one part that we're gonna get to. I just sent this to Romy because I was like, is this guy serious right now? So one of the more random candidates, does anybody know on a Mac how I can disable the feature where if you like drag a window to the edge, it just decides you want it to be, I never want it to be full screen when I'm dragging it to the side. I want it to just be on the side. How do I disable that? Okay. This random candidate, sorry, not this person who decided to enter the race. I thought he was very entertaining for a little while. He has one very weird answer, and I tweeted about it. And then he responded to me in the oddest way. We're going to start there, and then we're going to go into the panel, forum, debate, whatever we're going to call it. Go to set hot corners. They should be called annoying corners. That's helpful. I'll look that up in a sec. Okay, share screen, posts, also share tab audio. Okay. So this man's name is Jim Barracat. And let me just play his answer first, and then we'll talk about what I said. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Investigations be sloppy. We often think, or maybe we're tuned to seeing investigations be sloppy or people being taken advantage of when it's black and brown males. But in this case, investigations that didn't happen were actually Adam's former office had to step in and investigate. And another case where, we rarely see women being prosecuted in Massachusetts. And it's not only because women don't commit crimes at the same rates as men, but I think it's a very standard principle that women and children are the bedrocks of our society. We often think.
So I tweeted, I'm not sure we're used to black and brown men being prosecuted, but we've got to be more careful with the white women because we need them to make the babies hit quite the way he was intending. I did not tag him. I did not say his name. I did not use a hashtag. It's not in a thread about this debate or anything. And pretty quickly, like 2 hours after I tweeted it, his campaign responded and said, let's get this straight. Not investigating the grooming and child exploitation of Sandra Birchmore, check. Prosecuting Karen Reed 2 times, check. People finally being tired of this, check. Honestly, sounds like you hate women more than Proctor does. Sir, I am a potential voter in this county. I have been speaking out about the grooming and child exploitation of Sandra Birchmore more than I've heard you. I have been talking way more about prosecuting Karen Reed 2 times than I have heard you talk about. I am the people who are tired of this. I hate women more than Proctor does? Excuse me? Like, what is happening right now? It almost feels like a kid on his team forgot that they were on the real account and not one of their troll accounts. Because what? And this is what's especially weird is he doesn't have to know me. Full of questions. Barbara said, that's disgusting. He should know who you are. It's fine if you don't know who I am, whatever. I don't think that anybody needs to know who I am. But I need to show you. He had tweeted at me another time. And I thought it was kind of funny the one time before. So I posted a picture of my dog with my Adam Deitch sign. And then he responded, can't say we agree with the sign, but we do love dogs. And I said, LOL, I appreciate this, with a little clapping emoji. So I thought, if anything, he was kind of like a quippy, like, I know I'm not going to win, but I'm here for a good time, not a long time kind of thing. And instead, he just decided to go scorched earth on me. So that was a weird choice. I still don't really have an opinion on him one way or the other. Because, yes, my dog was wearing sunglasses because I was trying to take this picture of him, and he's getting really old. He's 11 now, and it was really sunny, and he kept squinting, and it made him look like extra old. And I was like, Teddy, I don't want you to look so old. So I put my sunglasses on him, and then he looked cool. But I already had some thoughts about him from this forum. Like, he seemed very unprepared. I had already been texting Romy about some of his answers where I literally said, like, where did this man get the audacity to think that, like, you belong in this room with these people who are qualified? But I don't know that I was planning to air all that out until he just gave me permission. So that was a weird choice of his and rude. And I don't even like that his name is Barakat because it looks like it should be Baccarat, and it's a hard name to say. Thank you, Cusco. So that's where we're going to start. We're going to go in. I guess if we were doing ranked choice voting, Bearcat just moved down the list. Still Greg Connor down, way down at the bottom, and you'll see why. I guess I'm going to do one more spoiler alert of like my thoughts on this. But I don't want to this is like in teaching where it's like, I don't want to like taint the sentiment of the class too much before we start. But I really like, oh my goodness, what is her name? Macy? We'll see. Also, Dejuna Perkins has an odd pin that I would like your guys' take on. I think it's meant to be cute. Like, I think like a kid made it for her. But if you're not running on like a platform that's like, I'm here for the kids or whatever, and you don't mention it, it just suddenly caught my attention where it's very like Cinco de Mayo kind of. You'll see what I'm talking about. Okay. I downloaded it. And also Canton Community TV, I linked them down below and put a little thank you. They're very cute, and they have this little like cute intro. I don't know if I can play it though, if there's like a copyright. So I'm going to skip it. And the moderator looks like Trooper Paul. Big picture before we get started. The actual like reason why I want to bring this to you guys and to like make sure that as many people as possible are watching this is because I think there are a lot of answers given in this forum that are fine answers for a typical race for district attorney. And I think what a number of these candidates are missing is the fact that this is not a normal election. Like, and when I was thinking about this before, I was like, when were politics normal, where it was just kind of like, we're happy the way things are? I don't know that like exists anymore in general, but this race has not even been contested since 2010. Like this race, Morrissey was just on the ballot and everybody was like, okay, well, like, Michael Morrissey's doing a fine job. Like Norfolk County District Attorney's Office is doing a fine job. And hey, girl. And like, we'll keep doing what we're doing. And nobody even, challenged him on the ballot. So the fact that now there are 7 people in the race, there's 6 people here. There's one additional guy who's running as an independent. I can never remember his name, and he's the one that I met at the supermarket. Okay, for anybody who doesn't know this story, sorry, I'm now already all over the place. I was leaving Big Y with my son the other day, and I see this guy like handing things out. And at first you're like, I'm going to look down. Like I can't, we're not doing this right now. I don't need to like sign a petition to save the earth or something. And then he was like, do you have a few minutes? Like I'm running for district attorney. And I was like, and this man did not see me coming. And I was like, yes, oh my gosh. Like, tell me what do you think about Greg Connor? What are your thoughts on Michael Morrissey? I was just at the courthouse the other day for Matthew Farwell's hearing. And like, I am appalled. What do you think about this? This man like he thought he was like on 60 Minutes for a second. I was just grilling him. And then at one point he was kind of talking smack about Greg Connor. And I was like, can I take a video of you saying that? And he was like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. And I was like, that was a smart choice. One thing I didn't like about him is that at no point during the conversation did he stop to ask me like, hey, why do you like know all this stuff? Or like, why do you care about all of this? And I thought that was a little bit odd. Maybe everybody is just as invested and informed as I am. That would be nice. I don't think that's what it is. So it was a little weird. And he kept talking about how, anyways, he's not important. We're not even going to focus on him. I don't even know his name. Does anybody know what his name is? It's the one guy who's running He's running as an independent. It is very clear that he's actually a Republican, and he's running as an independent because he knows that a Republican will not get elected in Massachusetts, because there, when there are like buzzwords that somebody can say where it's like if kind of thing. He's like, things like this goes beyond my political views, and I'm like, oh, your political views are not like the mainstream around here. Gotcha. Okay, cool, good to know. Which is different than Adam Deitch saying that he wants to take politics out of the race, which I actually think is a smart message. That's not saying ignore my politics. He's embracing his politics. He's open about his politics, and then he's saying, but my politics are not important. Anyways, back to the point. The format of this forum is that this man who looks like Trooper Paul is going to ask them 3 questions. That's it. They had 1 hour. So they each do an opening statement. And actually at the beginning when they said that, I was like, oh, we're not even going to like get, anything good out of this. And boy, was I wrong. So they're going to each do an opening statement, and then they're going to each have 3 minutes to answer the same question 3 times, if that makes sense. That's not what I just wanted to do. Okay. What's the... maybe I'll do it this way. I never know. So now I have it. Just do it this way. Hold on. I'm going to share it the other way because that I can't change the size. Yes, you're about to see. Cuzco Wright asked, were there a lot of people in the audience? I was so pleasantly surprised to see how many people are there. And I just keep doing the same one. How many people are there, and how engaged they are. Like you can like hear in the background. Okay. Nothing is doing what I want it to. Nope. Okay. That's the best we're going to get. Okay, here we go.
Have campaign
State
literature
Trooper
of all
Paul.
the candidates in the back on the table. We just ask from everyone, really important, these things right here. Please be respectful of all the candidates. Please hold the applause until the end. Please be mindful of the time, kind of related to clapping. And in consideration of time, please, no questions from the audience. Thank you. I'd like to start right away. We have a lot of ground to cover. We're going to be pretty militant with time. We'll start with the 6 candidates running for Norfolk County DA. They are Juna Perkins, Adam Deitch, Craig McClellan, Macy Lee, Greg Connor, and Jim Barakat. Each candidate will have a minute to introduce themselves. There will be 3 questions, just 3 questions asked of the candidates. If you will each have 3 minutes to complete. Christine Smith will be holding up time cards. Please pay attention so we can proceed in an efficient manner. At the end of the 3 questions, you'll be giving 1 minute for a closing statement. We will have the same format for the 4 candidates running for the 6th Norfolk State Rep seat. So let's get started. So for the first question, we'll go to Juna, and we'll just go right down the line.
You mean for the opening statement?
Yes, I'm sorry. I apologize for the 4-minute statement. Thank you so much. That's what I meant. Yes, go right ahead. You have 1 minute. Thank you.
Don't worry.
My name is Juna Perkins, and I'm running for Norfolk County District Attorney to restore justice, integrity, and transparency to the Norfolk DA's office, because I believe that everyone deserves justice and that no one is above the law. I've spent my entire 33-year legal career fighting for justice for victims of crime and their families all over Massachusetts. First as a prosecutor for 10 years in the Attorney General's office and the Suffolk County District Attorney's office.
Okay. Can we just have a moment for what is this pin? What is happening here? It looks like a little kid made it for her, but I don't understand. Does anybody, is it like her thing? Like, does she normally have just like a quirky pin? I don't know enough about her. What is happening here? Like, is that just her pin that she always wears? I just have so many questions about the pin. I don't know why. Also, I completely agree with, she seems like a kid trying to rush through a class speech. Oh, it's for pride. Is it though? What? Yeah, okay. Well, that's cute. She also, Trial Channel and Kyle Sharkey and I were saying that she seems like the president of the homeowners association that walks around with like a tape measure in her pocket and calls you out if your grass is too long, and you have to make sure that like the lines are straight this way, but every third lawn mow of the month you have to do them diagonally. She has that vibe. I think she would be a good candidate if there was nobody else. Like if it was like her and Greg Connor, great, I vote for you. But because there are other people, namely, no, I was not bashing Pride at all. I was just did not realize that bushy pin is how you celebrate Pride. I love Pride. Look at you. I love rainbows more than anybody. Okay.
And then in 20 years of private practice, I became a lawyer to speak for those without a voice. And that's why 2 years ago, when I saw the district attorney's failure to prosecute the murder of Sandra Birchmore, I could not sit by and do nothing, because that was a complete failure of government. So I was the first in the race, ready to challenge the incumbent. I was the first to call for his resignation 1 year ago after the second verdict of Karen Reed. And I am the only candidate in the race to have pledged to prosecute ICE agents for excessive use of force and unlawful detention. I'm thrilled to have the endorsements of highly respected elected leaders, legal professionals, and activists from all around the county, and I ask for your vote on September 1st.
Great.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks to Greg and Trish for organizing this. I'm Adam Deitch, and I'm running for district attorney because I believe...
Yeah, wait, before we get into Deitch, I missed that part the first time. Did she just say I was the first to say I would refuse to prosecute ICE for excessive force, or that I would prosecute ICE for excessive force? Because she talked too fast. I actually didn't hear anything she just said. That was an interesting addition. And one thing I also, that you would prosecute ICE. Okay. For some reason that time I felt like I heard refuse and I was like, what are you talking about? Okay. This is where I feel like something like the ICE is partially kind of in the public discourse nationally right now, not really as critical to this specific county and this specific race. But there are a lot of things that they'll end up talking about where it's great. That sounds like a great initiative in normal times. However, today, text messages came out. This was yesterday, so that day. Text messages came out from that office that you're trying to get into. There is something way more targeted that we should all be talking about. And I think Adam gets it. I think a couple other ones get it. And then there are a couple, you'll see. Just hold your horses. And also, he's so cute. I know I said this yesterday. It's you don't have to be cute to win, but it's such an added bonus.
Norfolk County deserves better. It's particularly great to be in Canton tonight, which in a lot of ways has been the epicenter of what has gone wrong with our district attorney's office. Until this past November, I was a federal prosecutor, an assistant U.S. attorney in Boston, doing mostly public corruption cases across Massachusetts. Although I ended up having a series of cases taking place right here in our backyard. It actually got to a point where I was looking at the drumbeat of cases here, and I said out loud, what on earth is going on in Norfolk County? So I left the U.S. Attorney's Office and launched this campaign because I believe what this DA's office needs is cultural change, a change that needs to come from a change in leadership and ideally an outside perspective. So excited to answer the questions tonight and really great to be with you all. Thank you. everyone. My name is Craig McClellan, and I live in Cohasset with my extremely supportive wife, 10-year-old son, 13-year-old daughter, and I serve on the school committee there. I've lived in Mass.
Okay. This man, love the energy, love the vibe. Like this is somebody that like, if he's like, you're friends with him and you see him, he's going to like shake your hand so hard. He's going to give you the biggest hug. He's like the energy. However, we're not on Wheel of Fortune. Like I'm here with my very supportive wife. And you will see that he thinks that he might be running for school board. I don't know that he knows he's running for district attorney. Hold your horse.
Massachusetts my whole life. I've been practicing Massachusetts criminal law and Massachusetts criminal courts for over 20 years. I've served as both a prosecutor and a defense attorney during that time. As I've observed our criminal justice system evolve for better and for worse. And, to me, the major failures of the DA's office, including those failures that have led to some division here in Canton, come down to a lack of long-term accountability for the DA. And I'm going to be extremely accountable as DA. You'll know who I am. You'll know how to contact me. And I'll show up in person to confront any challenges and questions and concerns and failures and provide reassurance through prompt and effective action. Because I think this job is a responsibility to you, and that's how I'll always approach it. So thanks so much for having me tonight.
I was just going to let Loophole go off, but it's just getting annoying. Bye. Can't wait to see what screen name you come back on next.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Macy Lee, and I'm also running for Norfolk County District Attorney. I am the only person at this table today that has a proven record of a combination of leadership, management, and prosecutory skills. I'm the only one at this table that can go into an office, restructure it, reorganize it, and make government work for everyone. I'm currently the director of the Board of Hearings. I was promoted to this position 4 years ago by the Medicaid director. In 4 years, I have made my agency accountable, transparent, and with integrity. Anyone can call the Board of Hearings and get an answer right away. All our decisions are online. We do not have any more public records requests. I was also the chief of the narcotics unit at the largest prosecutor's office in Boston, at the Suffolk County DA's office. In the 10 years as the chief, I ran 9 wiretap investigations and seized kilograms of fentanyl, many of which led into Norfolk County. So if you vote for me, I promise you, I pledge to you that there will be significant changes in the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office.
Okay, what do you guys think about Macy Lee? Because, and I just want to be really clear, like it's Adam Deitch, like there's nobody is surpassing him, but I feel like so this is what I was wondering is so this is so interesting. I feel like that I was so curious what you guys were going to say because I think she's polarizing. I think she's like so qualified. And yeah, you're going to like her more in a second. Also, Boozy, enjoy your wrench. I was just curious because I feel like I hadn't known much about her, and she's very, very qualified. I don't know if it's that this is the moment for her because she's like qualified for any job. She feels like somebody that should like take over a failing company and it would be thriving the next year. Like she feels like somebody who's like, I will whip this place into shape. It's just that like that's not exactly what needs to happen in Norfolk County right now. It's like more finesse than just like, we need to get this show going. But that was my thoughts. She does have some awesome answers coming up. That's true. Sean Good doesn't like her. I think we should only vote for people that we know Sean Good and Proctor would not like.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here. My name is Greg Connor, and I will say I'm extremely proud of the work I've done over the last 25 years at the DA's office. I have been part of some of the largest, most successful prosecutions, but also been able to develop our treatment courts to get hundreds of people a new lease on life. And I think that that's why in 2024, the state DAs named me the Prosecutor of the Year, and just last month, I was endorsed by the Norfolk County Police Chiefs Association. In addition to being an ADA,
I need to pause there for a second. So you are basically the incumbent right now in an office that is pretty hated in the county, across the state, and now nationally because of the news that just broke on this day. And by highlighting the fact that from that office that is universally disliked and the laughing stock of the nation right now, you're going to say, I was the best one. I was prosecutor of the year. I was the best one. I was the best one in the bad place. And I was endorsed, I was endorsed by he has other endorsements he could have highlighted. He was endorsed by like the track walkers and the some other union, like a not law enforcement union. The one that he highlighted was I was endorsed by the police chiefs of Norfolk County. How many police chiefs are in Norfolk County? What, 28 of them? So all 28 of them got together and they were like, we want to keep things exactly the same. Well, that tells me a lot. It is embarrassing. Like, it is so missing the mark. And to me, what this is showing is that he knows that the people that he needs to count on for his vote, they're going to vote no matter what. Like, Jen McCabe is going to be the first one at the polls that day. Everybody that has anything that might come out if Adam Deitch or anybody else becomes district attorney, they are 100% voting. They're voting like their life depends on it because a lot of their lives do depend on it. And it just makes me feel like we need to work even harder against that. I want to just go back. Also, he looks like a cartoon character, but also like an evil cartoon, but kind of like a cute cartoon. He looks like he would be a cartoon bear.
but also been able to develop our treatment courts to get hundreds of people a new lease on life. And I think that that's why in 2024, the state DAs named me the Prosecutor of the Year, and just last month, I was endorsed by the Norfolk County Police Chiefs Association. In addition to being an ADA, I've spent the last 18 years working with nonprofits. For 8 years, I was the president of the board of an early childhood care center, and we had 100 students that we service daily. For the last 6 years, I've been working on the budget as a treasurer for a shelter devoted towards unhoused mothers and their children. My family spent over a century in this county. I'm extremely proud of the work I've done. My wife, and I raise our kids here, and I want everyone else to feel as proud as this DA's office as I do. Thank you.
That was a bigger round of applause than I wanted him to get. Sir, what are you for? What are you against? Like, oh, I have a wife and I have kids and I volunteered at a homeless shelter and I helped the little kids and we provide I highly doubt that you provided anything at an early childhood center. Maybe you were on the board in name only or financially. Yeah, he is very proud of his DA's office. And he was careful to say, I'm proud of the work I've done. But you don't get to separate the work that you've done from the work that anybody else has done. That's number one. Number two, if you were not here last night, I was talking about how the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office is set up in a way where the district attorneys and the Mass State Police that are embedded in the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office are all on the same floor. They share a water cooler. They share a bathroom. They share a parking lot. They share the elevator, and they ride the elevator up to the same floor. They go to the bathroom next to each other in the same bathroom stalls. So when Michael Proctor talks the way that he does, everybody in the office knows about it. And when Adam Lally doesn't know how to get a search warrant for your case to prosecute Brian Walsh, and like nothing, everybody's going back and forth and nobody can find anything and this and that, you're all right there together. You are literally, you can just be, hey, Tully, like, did you get that search warrant before or after you searched Brian Walsh's car? Oh, you got it after? Okay. So wait, you got it before or after you followed him based on what you found in the car? Oh, you followed him first? So you didn't follow the law at all. So you didn't, okay. Thanks, Tully. Thanks for letting me know. Okay. You're all right there. You don't get to hide from the bad people that you are surrounded by. So congratulations on being the best of the worst. And now, my good friend, Bearcat.
Hey, good evening, folks. Jim Bearcat.
He looks like he thinks it's like open mic night. Like he just showed up tonight. He was actually just going to be in the audience. And then he's like, hey, there's an extra seat over there. Can I sit there? I have some things I want to say, I think. I don't know how they're going to come out. They're going to come out very bumbling. I did not prepare at all. I was tweeting at this girl in Norfolk County.
First want to say I'm honored to be sharing the
Everybody, we can't hear you. That's okay, guys. There's nothing really to hear. How old do you think he is? To me, he could either be like 32 or 60, and there's nothing in between. I don't know. I have no idea. The one that I met at the supermarket is the one who's not here because he's not running as a Democrat. He is, I don't know what he's doing. I guess like if you're running as an independent and you're the only one, you just kind of like kick it until after the primary. I don't know what. Then everybody's like, we can't. Yeah, I think the sound is weird. You know, when you're like in a big room and if the Canton TV microphones are not the like projecting microphones, they're like the TV microphones. I could see why that would be difficult. Bearcat was at opening day of Karen Read 2.0. That's interesting.
Table with some very fine attorneys, so thank you all. But I'm running for district attorney because, well, one, I've actually never been a prosecutor. I am a lifelong or career-long criminal defense attorney, and I think that being in that realm of knowing the collateral consequences of criminal prosecution has really adapted how I'm going to run the district attorney's office. Massachusetts incarcerates more people than the entire continent of Europe, and we cannot incarcerate our way out of social problems like releasing inmates to not having any jobs, not having any education, not having any work, not having any mental health treatment, not having any substance abuse treatment. These are people, I have 2 kids, these are people who are going to be back in the community, living with my children, living with you, and we're not doing anything to help these folks. So thank you.
He's 38. He graduated from college in 2010 and law school in 2013. That's funny. See, this is the thing is I think he's just not like a good listener because he's saying the right things, but he's not like listening to himself. And he's not saying, he's like, the idea is right. He's not saying them correctly though. Like even to stand up and be like, I wanted to run for this because I've never been, it's like, I get what you're trying to say. You're trying to say you've been on the opposite side of it, but like highlight that. You need a campaign manager, little boy.
Thank you very much. So now we get to the meat and potatoes right here for the questions. That's the one I was going for immediately, and then I was corrected, thank you. But in all seriousness, the first question is going to go to Juna Perkins. How did the Norfolk County DA's office fail the residents of Norfolk County and the victims in both the John O'Keefe and Sandra Birchmore?
Wait, but Boozy, were you here when you, at the very, very beginning when I showed what he tweeted at me? Because you might change your mind. I'll send it to you.
Cases.
Well, that's a great question. It's one I've been talking about since before I was even a candidate. In the summer of 2025, I began speaking out about the Sandra Birchmore case and the district attorney's failures there, because any experienced prosecutor would have understood that that was a murder. And then before I announced my candidacy, I also was critical of the district attorney about the Karen Reed case. So first of all, I think it was overcharged. Second of all, when there was new evidence from the federal authorities about the accident reconstructionist, as well as the Proctor text, the district attorney did nothing. Third of all, the district attorney, as I said back in September of 2024, before I'd even run, the district attorney knew or should have known that Trooper Proctor was bad news. And here's what we saw. We've seen that time and again. Finally, Trooper Proctor was removed, and today we hear that there's even more evidence of his unbelievably inappropriate behavior. There is no way that people on the executive staff of the district attorney's office did not know that that is who Trooper Proctor was. And so there's that. There's the ridiculous expenditure of funds on the trial of Karen Reed to try the entire district attorney's budget for operating costs is $2.7 million. And he spent over half that on the second trial of Karen Reed alone. And you know what that means? That means that all of the other families in Norfolk County with serious cases like Anna Walsh and Sandra Birchmore and the many domestic violence homicides we've seen in the last 5 years, they didn't get any of that money. And then the final thing is that to put a family, the number one rule of a prosecutor is to set the right expectations for a family. To tell a family to promise a result that you know that you cannot get is the worst thing of all to do. And to decide in 1 second impulsively to try the case again after a hung jury is again an indication of ego and not service. And so to put that family on a roller coaster for 3 years is horrifying. And then finally, I just can't say enough, the failure to prosecute the murder of Sandra Birchmore. They're in the federal indictment. They outlined all of the evidence that was used in their indictment. All of that evidence was available at the time of her murder. And the district attorney's steadfast refusal to recognize other potential evidence, including the opinions of two independent medical examiners, is unethical. And because the district attorney is supposed to keep an open mind. She is supposed to be open to new evidence. And
I liked that move when she said she is supposed to be, to like plant in people's minds like it could also be a woman. I just get the vibe when she's talking, number one, that I feel like all of these are like she wrote index cards and has been like practicing in front of her mirror every day. Like her family's heard this speech 1,000 times. And I feel like she's saying a lot of the right things, but like her heart isn't in it. To me, she feels like she keeps on highlighting that she was the first one in the race and she was the first one to do this and the first one to do that. And it's like, yeah, you said that you were running for this position and then we like never saw you. We didn't hear from you. I think she had said that she was running like when Karen's case was still pending. Am I right about that? And we didn't see her. She wasn't at a standout. She didn't connect with anybody. To me, it feels like she saw an opportunity where she could kind of like get into the district attorney's office because people didn't like Morrissey and she thought it was going to be between her and Morrissey and she wasn't expecting this and she doesn't have the like passion that Deitch has. Again, if it was only between her and Morrissey, if it was between her and Greg Conner, great, you win. You are saying what we want to hear. I just don't feel it. And she does look like a librarian who would track down every single book. However, I would too if I was a librarian somewhere because, like, you got to get those books back. What are you going to have, a library with no books?
The new ideas and to bring the best result for every person in Norfolk County. So I cannot emphasize that point enough. Yeah, so I think that's good.
I think that's good is going to keep her up for weeks. I can just feel it. I think that's good.
So I actually think that the problems and the different ways in which the DA's office has failed to serve communities like Canton extends beyond just 2 cases.
Hold the mic up so we can hear you.
Of course, thank you. I think what I was saying was I think that the problems here and the degree to which the DA's office has failed to serve communities like Canton extends beyond just 2 cases. I think most people in this room know a lot about the case of Karen Reed and the death of police officer John O'Keefe. A lot of people in this room know all about the Sandra Birchmore case, both of which exposed serious failings, and Norfolk County deserves to expect better from its district attorney's office. But I think what these 2 cases actually demonstrate is that under Michael Morrissey's leadership, we have a 2-tiered system in Norfolk County. If you know the right people, or if you are somehow connected to law enforcement, under Michael Morrissey's tenure, you've been able to get special treatment. Under my leadership as district attorney, that stops in January. I can talk all day about any of these specific cases, but let me talk for a second about Sandra Birchmore, because I agree a lot with what Juna just said. The evidence that was available to the state in that case, which the state failed to look at, failed to take basic investigative steps to evaluate, and ultimately a case where they failed to charge what isn't just an alleged murder, it's something that has now been a charged murder federally. And it's actually a continuing problem because the federal murder case against Matthew Farwell is much more complicated than the state murder case would be. In the state murder case, you'd have to prove that he murdered her, and that he killed her, and that he intended to. The federal case is far more complicated because murder is not typically a federal crime. You have the statute, and I won't get too far in the weeds here, involves.
Okay, him in this moment is like me at a dinner party where I'm like, okay, so the thing is, and then I realized, and I'm like, actually, okay, never mind. Like, I feel like I just get him. Like, I understand this man. I feel like I can,
him killing her and intending to kill her in order to conceal evidence of another crime. And so it's a continuing problem because this DA's office maintains that she died by suicide to this day and has failed to investigate all of the conduct that took place before the day that Sandra died, involving perhaps far more than Matthew Farwell. And so I think it all raises the question, the Karen Reed case and the death of John O'Keefe, the Sandra Birchmore case. It raises the question, what else has been going on in Norfolk County over the past 16 years that we don't even know about? And that's, I think, to me, the most terrifying question of all. And I'm excited about the opportunity to dig in and get answers for folks and victims and members of this community who haven't gotten answers in almost 2 decades. Thank you.
he's just so cute. Okay, I wanted to address this quickly. Harbinger of imminent death. Whoa. Sent $5 and said, I want to hear what they think about free speech journalism and the witness intimidation statute. Also loved your finger painting comment about Welcher. I agree. There is like the big debate, it's coming up on June 17th. And there is, if you search for, just search for like DA debate Medway or something, you'll find it on Google. There is a Google form that you can fill out and you can submit a question for them to ask all the candidates there. And I have just one other thought. I brought this up to Aiden, and I know that Aiden, rightfully so, is like very fixated on the piece of his charges that is witness intimidation, because like that is what he's fighting up against right now. And I don't disagree with that. I do think that Morrissey and Tully and the whole goon squad was going to pin whatever they could on Aiden. It was like less about witness intimidation and more about the fact that that was what they could like spin to charge him with. If it wasn't witness intimidation, it was going to be speeding. It was going to be drunk drive. It was going to be, they were going to pin him with something. They tried to get him on wiretapping before they even thought to do witness intimidation. And I say that only to say that I think the bigger issue, like the root cause of why Aiden is facing any charges in the first place, why Karen was facing any charges in the first place, was because of corruption and because of this like two-tiered system that Deitch is talking about. And I don't think that means that we should ignore the like kind of surface level of like what he's up against. But to me, it's like Deitch is getting to like the root of the problem. It's not just kind of glossing over it. I do think that they should also address the statute of witness intimidation in general. And like at some point, we should not be able to say like, you hurt my feelings and then charge somebody with witness intimidation, because that's ridiculous. And now it's time for basketball coach Dad to just bring the energy and bring the fun. He's just here for a good time.
So, can you hear me in the back there? All right. I'm not going to reiterate the errors that I think the failures that have been pointed out and that will be pointed out, the conflicts of interest and
I'm not going to reiterate what was already said, and I'm not going to say what the next people are going to say. Like, sir, what are you going to talk about then?
the overspending on private counsel, the overcharging. I think that these issues have been, identified adequately through the media, and I think that my colleagues will probably talk about them. I'm not going to reiterate that. I think, to me, the biggest failure.
My colleagues are going to talk about some of the problems, so I don't really feel like I have to. Your colleagues, sir, you're debating them. You're on a ballot against them. But I feel like if he's a hockamuck sports dad, he's like the one that also brings orange slices for the other team and is like, oh, that was a great shot. Like he wants to make everybody happy. He just forgot that he's in a competition right now. Also, Fervent told me today that he saw 2 Craig McClellan signs, so he has a following. There probably is, but he probably has a big friend group. Like, this is a guy who knows everybody. Everybody knows him. Yeah.
The DA's office, in connection with those 2 cases and beyond, is the failure to acknowledge the failure, right? I think a lot of us, when we're looking to good government, we just want our elected officials to admit, to acknowledge, to concede when something has gone wrong. And in any organization, in any agency, you're going to have failure, whether it's public or private. You're going to have failures, and effective leadership is acknowledging that failure and then endeavoring to do something meaningful about it, pledging to do better, so you can deliver a better service.
Tell me this is not something that he learned in couples therapy. And he seems like he and his wife are in couples therapy, not because they're having problems. He and his wife are in couples therapy because they always want to be getting stronger and they want to communicate better. And their focus lately has been on the fact that everybody makes mistakes. And when you admit that you make a mistake, it makes the whole team stronger and our family will be better. And he forgot what the question was. So he's like, what did Dr. Smith say this weekend? Okay. So I think the most important thing is that the district attorney admits when they're wrong, not to fix the problem, just to be like, hey, I was wrong. I think he's adorable. I just don't think he should be district attorney.
To the public in the future. And still, as we're all sitting here and standing here today, that hasn't been done. Even in this community that was a very safe, strong community, still is, was torn apart and divided by major failures and shortcomings in the investigation and criminal prosecution of the case involving John O'Keefe's death. And that's the exact opposite effect that we should expect from our elected leaders.
Our elected leaders should be lifting us up. They should be supporting us. They should be bringing us together. They should be rolling out innovative programming that makes our communities stronger. And so to me, that's the biggest failure of the district attorney's office in connection with those two cases and probably beyond.
That wasn't the question.
One of the first things that
Now, this is when Macy said, I didn't come to play.
do when I'm promoted to a new leadership position, and I've been a lawyer now for 34 years. 32 of those years I've devoted to public service. So it's various levels of government, whether as a prosecutor or now in the Executive Office of Health and Human Services. I go into the unit or agency and I look to see what's working and what's not. And as an outsider looking in, from what I've read and what I've seen about the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office are questions that I have in my head. First of all, who approved the indictments that Karen Reed had to answer to? Who thought that she could possibly be guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of second-degree murder? If she had a lot of alcohol in her system, how was she able to formulate the intent to intentionally kill someone? That's what I'm wondering. And who approved that indictment? Who brought it to the grand jury? Who signed off on those indictments? Because those are questions that I ask myself. I have indicted thousands of cases as a head of narcotics when I was a line prosecutor in the state of Ohio. Those are questions I ask. Who's supervising all this? Because that's really important for an organization, is to have structural oversight. Who's approving whom? Who's training whom? Because these things lead to an effective office that is run with accountability, transparency, and integrity. So those are some of my questions. And that's one of the things that I look at when I enter a new organization. And yes, there are people that are going to have to go, unfortunately, that don't work. And it's by volition most of the time because they don't believe in the new culture that a new leader brings in. And that's okay, because government works well when there is a slow revolving door of people coming in with new mindsets. So I think that that's one of the issues of the Norfolk County DA's office. My second issue is clearly what we saw in the news today, which I find utterly, wholly disgusting. I would not trust myself and my children with these two men. And it makes me wonder, so with all the
I'm just not sure that she used, I would not trust myself with these two men correctly. I know where your head was at, but usually that saying is like, ooh, I wouldn't trust myself with them. I get what you're saying. This is what I mean, though. She's meeting the moment. I do think that she's a little bit like I said, I think that she would be perfect to go into a company that just declared bankruptcy, and the next year they would be in the Forbes top 50. She could shake things up in a really profound way. I just don't know that that's the vibe right now. But if there was no Adam Deitch, this is the energy that I want, especially sitting next to Connor, and wait until she passes him the mic.
He's anti-Semitic, anti-women, racist, anti-immigration, just pure hate on anyone that does not look like them. How many people did they arrest that did not look like them? Are these arrests tainted? Because I think we need to look into that. How many of their investigations resulted in the way someone looked? And that's something that I would dedicate my time looking into and looking through all their investigations, because I did that with Annie Dukin. And I think everyone here remembers her. I had to no-pros hundreds of cases because of her lack of integrity. And that's something that I pledge to do as Norfolk County District Attorney.
He was literally, Connor's like, does anybody else want to go before me? He literally turned around what do I do with this mic now? And then after hearing that, where do we go? Let's find out. Also, even his little sticker is trying to jump off of him. Can I move this? Look, his sticker is I don't even want to do this anymore. Why don't you have a pin? Everybody else has a pin. Why do you only have a sticker? I don't like anything about him. Also, he looks like smooth-brained like Sean Good does, where it's like there's actually not enough wrinkles. Like you haven't been through enough. There's not enough wrinkles up here for you to be like working. You need to work harder. You need to get a couple more wrinkles. I need to see some gray hairs. Like you don't look like you've experienced enough life and like tried hard enough for you to even be considered.
So, to answer the question, first, when we look at the Reed case, I agree it was overcharged, and it was frustrating when you overcharge a case, it becomes a cancer to the case and it spreads throughout.
Okay, I'm not going to keep pausing it, but where have we heard a cancer in the Karen Reed case before? That seems like something I've heard before. And was that maybe what Alan Jackson said that Michael Proctor was? Michael Proctor was a cancer to the case. Overcharging, not charging her, not investigating. Overcharging her was the cancer in the case. That seems more like you're just trying to rebrand the way that the public immediately hears a cancer in the Karen Reed case and associates it with Michael Proctor. And he's like, dude, I got you. Like, I'll do a rebrand for you. Like, I'll make them like think you're, I'll just say like something else is the cancer instead. And like, he just like, look at that face. He just looks like a doofus.
The jury loses faith in you as the prosecutor because you are trying to sell them on a charge that you can't prove. That was a mistake on that case and it shouldn't have happened. And then on the Birchmore case, once there was an alternative cause of death after Dr. Capo-Martinez and Dr. Hell had declared it a suicide, but Dr. Bodden, when hired by the family, had determined that it was a homicide. That was a missed opportunity for the DA's office to go and do an inquiry.
Okay, I know I said I wasn't going to keep stopping, but point of fact, the crime scene wasn't investigated as a homicide. So it was not the private autopsy that Dr. Bodden did for Sandra Birchmore's family that should have even given you the inclination that this was not Sandra taking her own life. It is going way, way back to your friends who are right over there in your office, who you could be like, hey, did you guys investigate? Oh, how come Matthew Farwell's name is all over these papers? Did you guys bring him in for an interview? No. Oh, you just met him at a school. You met a PDF file at a school parking lot and you just chit-chatted in the car for a little while. You called him Matt and then you said, okay, see you later. Matthew Farwell's name is all over every single one of these documents from day one. Okay, I'm really not pausing anymore. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll go back. He looks like he just got off the toilet.
So, to answer the question, first, when we look at the Reed case, I agree it was overcharged, and it was frustrating. When you overcharge a case, it becomes a cancer to the case and it spreads throughout. The jury loses faith in you as the prosecutor because you are trying to sell them on a charge that you can't prove. That was a mistake on that case and it shouldn't have happened. And then on the Birchmore case, once there was an alternative cause of death after Dr. Capo-Martinez and Dr. Hell had declared it a suicide, but Dr. Bodden, when hired by the family, had determined that it was a homicide. That was a missed opportunity for the DA's office to go and do an inquest, which we had done twice before in my career and had resulted in a judge telling the prosecutors to go to the grand jury. And so that was a frustrating experience for me. And then in October of 2024, the office came to me and said, how do we prevent this from happening again? So I set up a committee on all.
Well, Colleen likes my pausing, so I'm going to pause because I'm sorry, Sandra Birchmore's death was a frustrating experience for you. Excuse you? That was a frustrating experience for me. What? You know what's been really frustrating for Sandra Birchmore's family? To have to still sit in federal court and listen to Matthew Farwell's defense attorneys argue that, yeah, well, you guys have all of this evidence against him, but if this was a murder, then why does the Commonwealth and the Norfolk County District's Attorney's Office still say that she took her own life when we know for a 100% fact that she didn't? That seems a little bit more frustrating than whatever you're whining about. Oop.
Resulted in a judge telling the prosecutors to go to the grand jury. And so that was a frustrating experience for me. And then in October of 2024, the office came to me and said, how do we prevent this from happening again? So I set up a committee on all.
You know what else he did in October of 2024? Saw Michael Proctor's text messages for the first time.
Homicides made up of senior law enforcement officials, senior prosecutors, and advocates. And they reviewed the cases before an indictment could come out. So no one person could ever make that decision ever again. Instead, you had to go through a gauntlet. And if that group of people said that there was enough to go forward to the grand jury, you could get your indictment. But there were times where they were close to getting an indictment, but they didn't have it. And we would decide we could not go any further on that case with the evidence we had. They had to keep on working it. We repeated that process before juries. And we got to do this for the last year and a half of my career. It was a productive way of doing things. No longer does one person have authority. And when I am district attorney, that's exactly the type of mentality we want. We want collaborative people working together to make sure that no one person can make a mistake, but together the office knows what's going on in every case, and people are jointly making.
He wants to work together so no one person can make a mistake. They can all make the mistakes together.
Decisions on how to charge cases and how to prosecute them. Thank you.
Shush, Canton. Too much applause for that. Were the McAlberts there? Is that who's applauding? Oh, look, it's Bearcat, my bestie.
Well, it's hard to go last in a question like this because I can't say I don't agree with everything everyone has said. I do. And one of the points when I was like, I really need to jump into this race, I need to do something for my community, was when I found out the state police trooper who failed to turn over initially the text that said how long to die in the snow was the same Mass State trooper who failed to turn over 40,000 text messages between Sandra Birchmore and Matthew Farwell.
There was a how long to die in the snow. Do we know Guarino's name or no? We lost it for a second. Is it there? Was it ever there? What's happening right now? When I decided I needed to run because I needed to do something for my community. Is he in like a 12-step program? And he's like on the 8th step and he has to do something like good for his community. And so he decided that this was it. I'm sure he's a very like nice guy. It's just, and this is what I was saying to Romy when I was watching this for the first time. There are things that I talk myself out of because I doubt myself to a fault, where I am like good at something and like overqualified to do it. And still like my brain gets the best of me. And then I back out of it and I don't do it. This man like wakes up every day and is like, I'm running for district attorney today still. And I'm going to be up there at the table with all those, like Macy just said that she's been a prosecutor for 34 years. He's 38 years old. And there is like at no point in this process is he like, you know what, like this was cool. This is just not my time. So I'm going to back out because like it's a little embarrassing when I'm like up there with the big kids. I'll take notes for now and maybe like next time I'll be older and wiser and more prepared. But no, yeah, well, now there's a, no, gotta go check.
And as far as I know, this individual still works at the Mass State Police, and this is information that the district attorney's office absolutely should not be relying on. This person is a very biased person. This person clearly withholding evidence for reasons who knows, but and then to hire Hank Brennan to the tune of what would have been the salaries of 11 starting assistant district attorneys for one case. Well, a lot of that goes back to how many cases went uncharged or unprosecuted. Now, I think what's really shocking is that we often think, or maybe we're attuned to seeing investigations be sloppy or people being taken advantage of when it's Black and brown males. But in this case, investigations that didn't happen were actually Adam's former office had to step in and investigate. And another case where, we rarely see women being prosecuted in Massachusetts. And it's not only because women don't commit crimes at the same rates as men, but I think it's a very standard principle that women and children are the bedrocks of our society. And those cases, when they're charged, need to be.
So just for anybody who might have been arriving late, that word salad that just came out of his mouth is what started apparently my new feud with this man. So hold on just a second. So a whole bunch of word salad just came out of his mouth. And earlier today, I tweeted it. Why is it so little? And I said, I'm not sure we're used to Black and brown men being prosecuted, but we've got to be more careful with the white women because we need them to make the babies hit quite the way he was intending. To me, the correct response is actually no response. This is not the tweet to respond to. I would also like to go see his replies later and see, is he on everybody's or is he just offended by this one? He wrote back to me. I did not tag him. I did not use his name. I don't know how he found this tweet. He is chronically online. He wrote, let's get this straight. Not investigating the grooming and child exploitation of Sandra Birchmore, check. Prosecuting Karen Reed 2 times, check. People finally being tired of this, check. Honestly sounds like you hate women more than Proctor does. You, me, I hate women more than Proctor does. Okay. I wrote, can you elaborate on what you mean? He has not responded to that. However, he has responded to Romy. Romy said, hi, Jim. Can you elaborate on what you meant by, quote, we're used to Black and brown men being prosecuted? The way that statement comes across is troubling. It sounds like you're suggesting that the disproportionate prosecution and criminal justice experiences of men from historically marginalized communities have become so commonplace that they're simply accepted. She is so eloquently just telling him that is how his statement is coming across. If that's not what you intended, I'd appreciate some clarification because the wording raises serious concerns. Bearcat said, have they not? It's sad, it's sick, but it's reality. We're hoping to change that narrative. Now, this is what I mean by I just think he's not hearing himself because Romy is clearly saying that this is something that I agree with you that there is a disproportionate prosecution in criminal justice experiences of men from historically marginalized communities. I don't agree with you on the fact that we should ever feel like that is normal. And he's just missing it. Have they not? It's sad, it's sick, but it's reality. We're hoping to change that narrative with a link to his campaign website. Okay, so we're responding to tweets. We also responded to Steve Libby, who said, Jim, that's a wild reaction to a harmless post by a resident of Norfolk County. In my opinion, as a resident of Norfolk County myself, I think you should just drop out. You don't have a chance in hell of getting into office. Save your time, money, and self-respect. You're just the goofy kid in class. To which he responded with a goofy GIF GIF. And then he really got to the point, and taking away meaningful votes that you may get could affect our lives. So basically, like, if it came down to Adam Deitch losing by 38 votes and those 38 votes went to this goon squad, like, good for you. You disrupted the election so much because you wanted to do something good for your community. I don't, to me, it feels like he feels like a Democrat who hasn't quite like internalized the talking points. It's like, I hear the words and I think I know what I'm supposed to say, but I don't quite get it yet. And if you want to be the silly candidate, be the silly candidate. But like, don't be the silly candidate on a post where you just told me that I hate women more than Michael Proctor does. It's just all weird. I wonder if there's anybody who knows him in real life and can fill us in a little bit more about who this man is. Whoops, hold on. Anyways, back to Bearcat.
Pick through with a fine-tooth comb, not swept under the rug, not overcharged. Thank you.
Also, excuse you, Greg. I know that Bearcat is not my favorite person, and he's clearly not yours either, but clap for him. That was rude. Watch Greg be rude.
Thank you. Okay. Question number 2. In your years of public service, what are your biggest achievements or accomplishments? Top 1 or 2 max is good.
Wait, sorry, what was the question? Also, I love that that nobody trusts Trooper Paul, whoever this Greg Dodd, Trooper Paul. They're just telling him what to do. He passes the mic and they're like, change the order. He seems like a nice guy.
Don't commit crimes at the same rates as men.
Okay. Question number 2. In your years of public service, what are your biggest achievements or accomplishments? Top 1 or 2 max is good.
Okay. The question is, in your years of public service, what are your top 1 or 2 accomplishments? You guys just wait for the basketball coach. It's so cute.
Change the order. Go to Greg or Macy.
Of course.
Okay.
Change it up?
Yeah, just pass it to Greg or Macy.
Yep,
Go
yep.
to the middle this time.
Okay.
Okay. So my biggest accomplishment, well, first of all, I think that question is, who are you asking? I mean, if some of my clients on the defense side that were facing incarceration and they were acquitted because of my efforts, I'm sure that they would say that that was my most successful act in public service, as a court-appointed attorney.
That seems like that would be a good answer for you to elaborate on.
On the flip side, on the prosecution end, someone that was, violently injured in, say, a shooting or something, and who I prosecuted their assailant successfully, I'm sure that they would tell you that that was my most successful contribution.
You're running for district attorney, so that would also be I would love to hear more about that. That seems applicable to the job interview that you're at right now. Let's see where we're going to go.
To public service, I think that if you ask me, though, and I mentioned this in my introduction, I'm on the school committee in my hometown, and it's a labor of love. I am so honored to hold that position because it's a local, but it's such an impactful public position. I don't know if there are any anyone school committee members out here at all? Yeah, I know Courtney is, yes. So I'd say that, personally, I was the chairperson of the school committee during the pandemic.
Oh.
And if any of you have school-age children, that was a really challenging time for us, not just as parents, but also the students, especially our most vulnerable learners who might have learning difficulties and need, in-person cues from teachers to be able to learn appropriately and have all the resources they need. And so I would say that, one accomplishment that I'm particularly proud of is returning our kids back to the classrooms with speed and doing that swiftly. We in Cohasset, we had a very collaborative approach. We met multiple times as a committee, as a town, to decide how to do this. Our building leaders, our principals, our district leaders, superintendents, school committee, all came together to devise a plan that the kids could safely and securely return to the classrooms. And looking back on it, I wish we had done it sooner, but we were one of the first, at least in Eastern Massachusetts, to do that. And I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of that because I think it probably helped.
Sir, I understand that there are probably a lot of things that you're proud of in your life, and that maybe that question got a little bit confusing. You're running for district attorney. What are you talking about? We should have brought the kids back to school sooner, but we send them back and we had a good collaborative approach. He is just he stumbled into the wrong room. I really don't know that he knows that he's running for district attorney. He literally said out loud, I could tell you about my prosecutorial experience. I have a lot of things I'm really proud of with that. I could tell you about when I was a defense attorney. I have a lot of things I'm really proud about that. During COVID, I was on the school committee. That's what I'm most proud of. What is happening? District school committee.
A lot of kids that were in need. And so I guess if I was to say, that's one accomplishment that comes to mind. So thank you very much.
In Clueless, when she's like, if she didn't do the assignment, then I can't do mine. Also, Greg, still not, look at this man. Are his hands down his pants? What's happening here? Look at Adam's clapping so nice. Juna's clapping like somebody told her she had to. They shocked her. She got shocked under the table and by her team. And she was like, Adam really meant that. Adam was like, I'm so proud of you for the school committee. And Greg is just sitting there like a grumpy child. Hold on. Rude.
As I mentioned before, I've been a lawyer for 34 years, and I devoted 32 of those years to public service. And what does that mean, other than the fact that I'm broke and I work for the government, is that I had so many wonderful opportunities to serve the public, and that really is my passion. And one of my two greatest accomplishments is being the chief of the narcotics unit at the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office. I served in that role for 10 years. I was the first and only female to do so in the largest narcotics unit in New England. When I started to lead that unit, Dan Conley was the district attorney. He promoted me from the appellate unit. I noticed that the type of cases that we were then prosecuting were mostly possessions or distribution. And I thought that our resources should not be arresting and doing street sweeps of people who were addicted to narcotics. What I wanted to do was to cut off the supply. And I spent 10 years doing that. I worked with federal, DEA, FBI, you name it, state, and lots of local police departments, including Dedham, Canton, Weymouth, Randolph, Quincy, and Milton. Why? Because drugs hit every community. I've spoken to a lot of police chiefs in Norfolk County since I decided to run, and each of them always say that drugs is one of the core public safety issues in every town, which, don't laugh, still surprises me because I'm not in it anymore, so I don't see it, but it plagues our communities. So what I decided to do as the chief of the narcotics was to cut off the supply. So we started doing wiretap investigations, and those are massive, labor-intensive, really difficult work, and we did 9 of them. And
Macy, this is Massachusetts. It's only difficult if you follow the rules. You don't have to follow the rules, and then it's easy peasy. You just go take what you want. You go get what you want. You walk up to somebody and you say, hey, can we just look in your car for a second? You take their phone, and then you say, oh, we're just going to do an extraction of these like 4 days. And then you take everything on the whole phone. You just go to Karen Reed's parents' house. You don't have a warrant or anything. You say, we need to take your car. She says, okay. She doesn't know to say no to that. You don't ever go in the houses though, but it's only hard if you follow the rules, and you don't have to here because Greg Connor's in charge, and he said, no biggie.
And one of the greatest wiretaps that I did while I was there was called Operation High Hopes. We seized 77 kilograms of.
Can we just pause for the name? This is a drug trying to stop all the drugs on the streets. Operation High Hopes. That's a good one. Points for that.
Fentanyl. We seized close to 8,000 opiate pills, kilograms of heroin, and cocaine. And that took down a lot of supplies and violence in not just Suffolk County, but also in Norfolk County.
She gave him right to Annie Dukin.
I'm also currently the the director of the Board of Hearings, and that's a large public-facing adjudicatory board. I manage over close to 60 people, and that includes 24 sort of like judges. They're hearing officers. And in the 4 years I've been there, I've turned that office around. It's accountable, it's transparent, and it's run with integrity. And I'm really proud, it's not my accomplishment, it's really my staff's accomplishment, because they are also dedicated to the million mass health members that we serve when their appeals, and ensuring that their due process rights are protected by way of a hearing. And I will do the same again with constitutional rights. Thank you.
So, what are you most proud of? There's a lot to choose from. You already told us you're just proud of the whole office and all of your work. So let's hear, what are you most proud of?
We're all in public service. I think the number one thing for me has been being able to help people. And there's two sides to that.
I'm most proud of being able to help people. Who did you help? Did you help Michael Morrissey? Did you help Michael Proctor? Did you help Jen McCabe? Did you help Steve Nelson? Did you help Matt McCabe? Did you help Brian Albert? Did you help Brian Higgins? Did you help Brian Tully? Did you help Paul Gallagher? Did you help Sean Good? Who did you help?
Point in my career, the first side would be helping defendants who are in crisis, particularly with the treatment courts.
Helping defendants who are in crisis. Karen Reed was a defendant in crisis. Did you help her?
We were able to, with a drug court, help people who are looking at incarceration and get them intensive treatment to deal with addiction issues. This was somewhat of the framework that we would use to create the Veterans Court.
Now, hold on just a second, because Macy just got all the drugs off the streets. Macy just got all the drugs off the streets. You helped somebody go to court? Okay. I picked Macy.
Vets who were coming back in 2011, we noticed that they were also having problems. And this court was dealing with mental health and addiction issues, but trying to get people housing, trying to get people education, and trying to get people work. And so what I would like to do is create an emerging adults court for...
Sorry, sir. Hold on just 1 second. I know that you're about to tell us how you want to help Colin Albert so that when he gets in trouble that he gets to go to like special court. I know that's where we're going with this. The question was, what are you most proud of? Right? Am I wrong? Did they change the question for him? The question was, what are you most proud of? We know that because basketball coach was really, really proud of his work on the school committee. You're telling us what you wanted. You're not even proud of anything you've done? Okay, well, tell us about the special court you want to make for Colin Albert.
People who are 18 to 21 years old, who are, we now have the law catching up to the science and recognizing that when young people don't have the same risk-reward analysis, and so they make mistakes and they make poor decisions. And what this court would do is give them the ability to have access to probation, to get the addiction, mental health issues that they need treatment for. And upon successful completion about that, these cases are dismissed. They don't have a criminal record. And this would help them get education. This would help them get professional licensure. This would help them get work. And this will help keep them out of the system. And so,
what are you talking about? Now, I understand a little bit about what he's talking about because he also did bring this up on his Note My Objection interview. I'm not sure that he understands anything that's going on right now. The question was, what are you the most proud of? So you started off saying you were the most proud of helping people who were in crisis go to court. And now you're just telling us what you want to do. And what you want to do is make a special court so that when Colin Albert, his friends, when a young man is in trouble, that they can get education. I'm not quite sure where that falls. I do agree. I mean, I think as a country, we over prosecute and over punish. However, that was not the question. We're not talking about that right now. And what is educate? Where you're going to also educate them. So you're going to help addicts who are in court get education. What's happening?
helping people.
And I say this to say he's not a good candidate, even if he wasn't tied to Michael Morrissey, even if he wasn't part of this corrupt office for the last 25 years. He's actually just not a good candidate. He's not well spoken. He doesn't have a plan. He doesn't have a vision. Mizzy said, I think he heard Macy's answer and was like, oh yeah, like that seems like that's where I should go with this. I want to in on this drug game. To me, it's like part of this is, yes, you're tied to Morrissey and that's bad because Morrissey is bad. And part of it is like, sir, is anything going on inside of that noggin right now?
Has been one of the main priorities of my job. The flip side is helping victims. That's the other side of this coin. Because after 25 years in countless trials, in countless cases, I've got to meet some wonderful people. I've got to meet people that I get to call true heroes. And I have really been touched by meeting these people and getting to know them. And they bring me into their life when I prosecute their cases, including, the families of victims. And to be there every day with them, through trials, through the beginning, I see some advocates nodding their heads and they know what I'm talking about. These people become a part of your life. And being an assistant district attorney to work with these people has been the most rewarding experience of my life. I couldn't have been more welcomed by some of these families to try and work them through these issues. And that didn't rely on the verdict, because it was the journey that got us there, of going to pretrial hearings, of going to lobby conferences, talking about the process through them, guiding them through this. Because these cases aren't like Law and Order. They don't go over. They are not over in 45 minutes. They last years. And you develop these bonds. And so when you talk about public service, I'm really honored to have developed those bonds with those victims' families. So those would be the two sides of the coin when it comes to my career that I'm particularly proud of.
What? Two sides? You talked about 47 things. You said all the buzzwords all at once. None of them are even really strung together to make a sentence. Who are these people? Now when he says these people, it sounds like code word for like the people that Proctor and Good are talking bad about. It's like, oh yeah, like I met with these people in court. What? Okay. Bearcat, it's your turn. What are you proud of? Are you proud of your Twitter game? Okay, wait. I will give Bearcat a point. Whoopsies. Because Bearcat did not get applauded by Connor. However, he even just did the most awkward little applause while trying to stand up and hold the microphone at the same time. Wait.
Service, I'm really honored to have developed those bonds with those victims' families. So those would be the two sides of the coin when it comes to my career that I'm particularly proud of.
clap.
I'll be honest, I like discussing social issues and solutions to those issues much more than I like speaking about.
Do you? You like discussing social issues and solutions to them? Sir, you just told me I hate women. What are you talking about? All I ever want to do is discuss social issues and discuss the ways to fix them. That is literally, I annoy people with it. That's why I'm here now, because all the people in my real life were like, why don't you go talk to your computer screen about that? Because I've heard this already from you. And sir, that is what I just brought up to you. And you told me that I hate women. What? Yeah, and get your hair cut. You're a father, for Christ's sakes.
Myself, but since I have to kind of come up with some sort of answer here, before I started doing criminal defense, I was defending children and families throughout Massachusetts whose children were removed.
I'm gonna just spoil this for you because this actually rubbed me the wrong way too. And okay. I want to say first, I understand that we do have a flawed system with DCFS, and a lot of times it's flawed in the like Harmony Montgomery side of things, where kids are not protected the way that they are meant to be. Occasionally, it is flawed on the opposite side, where kids who were in safe homes are like misidentified. I feel like that happens a lot less frequently. The reason for the Department of Children and Family Services is to protect children. And I understand that there are these very niche cases where the child was in good hands or was in good hands and whatever. This man is about to tell a story where it actually becomes clear that he's going to get to like the soft spot of the story. And on the way there, he's just going to march right through the forest of like dangerous environments for children. And he's going to march right up the mountain of, I don't really care if the kids are not safe because I'm going to fight for my client to get their child back. And it's weird. This made me feel weird.
Sometimes unjustly by the Department of Children and Families. And if you have any personal experience or know someone who does, you can pretty much assume that it's next to impossible to get your kids returned to you, at least in a timely manner, if ever. And we worked on this case, fighting tooth and nail to get one of my clients' kids back, and it took literally forever. And we did, and when that happens, you close the case. And that Thanksgiving, I got a call, and it was my former client. I say, "Oh, geez, he's calling me up. Something terrible probably happened."
So something terrible doesn't happen. It's about to be the cute part of the story. But the fact that you were fighting so hard for your client to get their child back, and the phone rang, and you immediately thought, "Oh no, something terrible happened." Like, when were we focused on the child in this situation?
I answer the phone, and he tells me, "Jim, this is my first Thanksgiving with my daughter, and I just wanted to say thank you." And I don't know, that story kind of always stuck with me, because I don't know who his daughter's gonna become, but that was a family I kind of helped keep together. But since moving to the district and superior courts, I do take pride in waking up and defending Massachusetts residents every day, and going in and fighting for constitutional rights at court hearings, at motion hearings, at trials, at treatment meetings. Now, something that we see on the news, ICE agents.
When he just said treatment meetings, I swear he's in a 12-step program, and that's why he's doing this. They said, like, on this step, you need to be doing something good for your community. Because what?
In waking up and defending Massachusetts residents every day.
I've seen Borat. He also seems like somebody who saw Borat in 2010 and is still quoting like my wife today. Yeah, it was that was a nice story. I'm not entirely sure what that has to do with you being district attorney. You didn't talk at all about like anything on the legal side that you had to do to make that happen. And I'm not quite sure that you were worried about the child, but sure.
And going in and fighting for constitutional rights at court hearings, at motion hearings, at trials, at treatment meetings. Now, some of that we see on the news, ICE agents doing ridiculous things to people who are our neighbors, searches without warrants, unreasonably just saying they're immigrants, so we can do this to them. And a lot of that does start in the local level at the district courts when unreasonable searches and seizures by police go unchecked and become commonplace. It makes it okay. It's never okay, but it makes it okay in theory that folks are going to say, oh, well, this kind of stuff happens. And I take pride in protecting constitutional rights on a daily basis.
ICE actually has been a problem in Massachusetts, and part of it was like the fear of ICE, like I think part of it was like they wanted families to be scared. So where I bring that up to say where I bring Carter trick-or-treating is just like a neighborhood where there's like a lot of kids outside, and it's like a more fun neighborhood to go trick-or-treating in than where we live. So we drive to where his babysitter lives. And this past year we went, it was like a nice night outside. It was like a perfect night for trick-or-treating, and it was empty. And apparently that there had been like ICE threats, and nobody actually showed up, but it's more like the fear of ICE has been something that has like permeated communities. It's not the same as like in a city like Minneapolis where like that would be the number one topic that like the district attorney's debate would be talking about there. So it does feel a little bit like ticky-tacky to just add it on here, especially when you haven't addressed some of the actual problems plaguing Norfolk County. And I don't understand when the question is, what are you most proud of in your career? Why any of them are talking about anything else besides the things that they're proud of. Like, that was the question. Let's answer the question. What's happening? You don't just get to make up your own question. It's about you. Like, what are you most proud of? I don't know. I'm proud of this. And I'm proud of the school committee.
Well, I've tried dozens of cases in the state courts of Massachusetts, both in district court and in superior court, but there is one that stands out. And I also am still in touch with many of the victims with whom I have worked and clients with whom I've worked. But the case that stands out to me the most as a proud accomplishment is, I'll just call her Joan. So when I was in the domestic violence unit in Suffolk County, in the Suffolk County DA's office.
Oh, you guys. This is actually all of Juna's answers. It's like they're good answers. It's just like the energy is freaking me out. But listen carefully, because earlier when Harbinger of Imminent Death was asking about witness intimidation, take notes. We're going to hear what actual witness intimidation looks like and sounds like. This is a good story. Like, this is a nice story.
There was assigned this case of a woman who was shot in the leg by a man. And she was incredibly shy. She was humiliated by the whole thing because she made a mistake. She was married and she'd had an affair with a man. She was also poor and she was African American, and she was incredibly nervous, did not want to testify against this guy, but she was petrified, in part because he kept saying to her over and over again, I'm going to dig a hole in the backyard and bury you. I'm going to do to that woman what I'm going to do to you what I did to that woman in Philadelphia. So
that, my friends, is witness intimidation. Not somebody knocking on your door, not somebody standing next to you at the urinal pretending to record a video that didn't even really happen, not rubber duckies. He said, if you testify, I'm going to do to you what I did to that woman in Philadelphia. And this was after he had shot this woman in the leg. So she was testifying to say, he shot me in the leg. And he said, if you say that in court, I'm going to do to you what I did to that woman in Philadelphia. That is witness intimidation. That is, if you don't testify, then I won't do to you what I did to that woman in Philadelphia. And if you do, then I will. Now let's find out what happened to the woman in Philadelphia.
I look at this guy's record, and he had shot her in the leg using a homemade silencer. So I looked at this guy's record. It's 20 pages long, from about 25 years worth of crimes. But he's been convicted of almost nothing. Just crime after crime after crime. So I dig into his record a little bit, and I find out that, in fact, many of these crimes are he's a serial batterer. He's hurt women in terrible ways, kidnapping, rape, been all these charges all on his record with different women. And each one of them was too afraid to testify. So what did I do? But the one thing that wasn't on there was a shooting of a woman in Philadelphia. So we dug around to the internet, to the interstate criminal checks. We did our regular local check, criminal history checks. And we still couldn't find it. Finally, I asked my civilian investigator to contact the FBI and ask them to hand check all their records from before things were computerized. And so they did, and I will never forget the day he came running down the hall to my desk and said, I found it. He murdered a woman in broad daylight in Philadelphia in the 70s, somehow got a ridiculously light sentence, paroled to Massachusetts, was able to get a gun in Massachusetts because he lied on his license. I knew that the case would be stronger if all of those other women would testify. I found every single one of them. And they all said, I can't wait. They all said, I've been waiting for this day. And guess what? The judge decided to allow me to have all of those women testify to a pattern of behavior, and he pled. He decided to plead guilty. I asked for 18 to 20, and the judge gave him 10 to 12. That's my story.
Now, what is it about her? Because that was actually a great story. And you answered the question. You stayed focused on this one thing. It's applicable to the job interview that you're at. Why though? Why does everything feel just like, ugh, she makes me feel like itchy. She makes me feel like I'm in trouble. And now settle in. And that's what it is.
In this case, the benefit of going last is that I've had a lot of time to think about different cases that I could use for the answer to this question. And I thought of a couple, and then I'll get to the one that I want to use. But things that came to mind: I've prosecuted Massachusetts state troopers for accepting bribes in exchange for commercial driver's licenses in Stoughton. I've prosecuted RMV employees for accepting bribes in exchange for regular driver's licenses. I prosecuted state troopers for stealing tens of thousands of dollars for shifts that they never worked. And those cases taught me what it takes to stand up to entrenched institutions like MSP or like the RMV. I thought of a case where I prosecuted a Northeastern University track coach who stole explicit images from his female track athletes and then put them online and attempted to extort them for more. And in that case, I learned about the courage and the importance of working with victims. And that those are the kinds of things that shape who I am as a prosecutor and shape who I'll be as district attorney. But one case came to mind that actually took place before I ever became a prosecutor. I worked for years for an organization called the Innocence Project, and had a case all the way back in law school where a client of ours named Robert Lee Stinson was convicted of murder in Milwaukee in 1984. He was 21 years old. A body was found in the shared yard between his house and another house, and the police officers were told, you're looking for someone based on the bite marks found on the victim. You're looking for someone who's missing a tooth. Lee which is what he goes by. Lee at the time was missing a tooth. And there's this harrowing line in one of the police reports when the detectives went and did a neighborhood canvass and they knocked on Lee's door and Lee came to the door. The detective wrote, "As soon as he smiled, we knew we had our man." As soon as he smiled, we knew we had our man. Lee was arrested, charged with first-degree intentional homicide. A dentist testified at his trial. His teeth matched the bite marks in skin, and he served 24 years for a murder he didn't commit, while the actual murder went free. And I was there the day Lee walked out of a prison in the middle of rural Wisconsin, and afterwards we found the real murderer, who was in prison for another rape in Illinois at the time. But that case shaped me. In fact, it helped inspire me to become a prosecutor. And a lot of the themes from that case might sound familiar to folks in this room because it involved a rush to judgment and decisions about charging before collecting all the evidence. And that's what's been going on in Norfolk County for the past few years. I'll say this, not on my watch. Thank you.
Like, that's called meeting the moment. This is what I'm talking about. That is what this election is about. And he is refocusing the point of this election. You can talk all you want in any other election about like the role of a prosecutor and we're going to focus on taking the drugs off the streets and making sure that they get educated and that the school committees are good. Not in this election, though. This election is about what's happening in Norfolk County, and he gets it. And so Sam Beningo's been doing an analysis of my interview with him. And I cannot wait for this video. I'm like so excited, but she keeps sending me like little things. She's like, "Emily, look right here. Like he is like one of us." And she keeps saying he didn't want to like let on in the interview how much of like one of us he is. And that he is like fully like as obsessed with all of this as we are, probably even more, because he wrote 3,100 pages that he handed over to this district attorney, and this district attorney said, no thanks. I'll just imagine putting together 3,100 pages of anything. Imagine writing a 10-page report and handing it to somebody and them reading it and being like, nah, I disagree. 3,100 pages, and Michael Morrissey and Adam Lally and Greg Connor and all of them like skimmed through it. They said, like, I think we know this all. And then they said, we're going to find somebody to debunk ARCA instead of listening to. He found ARCA. Like, also am I supposed to know this? Was he like the ice cream man? Is he the one who went to Jen McCabe's house? In which case, no, you did not think he was selling something. This does not look like a man who ever, for what, you know what the people look like who come to your door and they have on like little short shorts and they're on a Segway and they have like a little like a Under Armour swishy shirt with the logo of like the bug pest control or the roofers, and they're 27 and they're like friendly. This man did not look like he was selling something to you. You knew he was fed. Was he one of them? Anyways, that's how you meet the moment. And he is the only person who should be district attorney.
Everybody, hear everyone okay? Just doing a sound check. I see one no. Okay, so probably just hold the mic a little closer, right? Okay. Yes. Thank you. Yep. Last question. What reforms or changes would you put in place if elected Norfolk County DA?
What was the question?
What reforms or changes would you put in place if elected Norfolk County DA?
What reforms or changes would you put in place? Okay, let's see if we can stay focused on that, because that's what this election is about. What reforms or changes would you put in place?
Thank you. So there's a lot about transparency. I think if the Norfolk County DA's office was a more transparent office.
He is going to say one thing that I like in this.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. If we were a more transparent office, I feel like a lot of the complaints about the current administration probably would not have been so sought after. Being that, District Attorney Morrissey did not give any interviews about any Karen Reed issues. I know he had a kind of like a hostage type video that he put out after the first.
Okay. The timing is off on that. It was not after the first trial, but that's fine, right? It was before the first trial, wasn't it? Hostage video is funny. You get 1 point for hostage video. The problem in this district attorney's office is not the transparency. I mean, it's not like the type of transparency that town halls can fix. It's transparency in like, be more open about the corruption that you're doing, please. Like, tell us where it starts and why and who you're covering for and what they have on you. If that's the type of transparency you're talking about, then yeah, I'm on board. This is not the type of transparency that a town hall is going to fix, but sure. You said hostage video, so you get a point.
Conviction that left a lot of people with more questions than answers. And one of the biggest criticisms I've read and I may have is that he's certainly not.
One of the biggest criticisms I've read. And he's like, I may have it. I don't know if I have this criticism. I have read it.
More present to be accountable for his decisions. As a defense attorney, it's an interesting question because I like to think about what might make my practice a lot better as a defense attorney. However, some people might see this as an outsider might see this as like, oh, he's just criminally friendly. He's this, he's that. But actually, it's not. It's a lot about humanity. I feel like if either of us in this room were charged with a crime, some of the things we would want are a more comprehensive Brady list of officers we would not call if they were involved.
I'll put you on a Brady list.
In a case, there's a lot of push to get open discovery. So the second a prosecutor has a piece of discovery in a case, that's the same time whoever's there defending you gets it. It's not about hiding the ball. It's really about fairness and a lot of times line prosecutors don't have much discretion to get rid of a case that might be like, I can't believe they charged my client with shoplifting $20 worth of chicken tenders from.
He just reminds me of that part in The Office where he's like, sometimes I start a sentence and I just don't know where it's going and I figure it out along the way. Shoplifting chicken tenders? Is that a problem in Norfolk County right now? What is the biggest reform that you want to make to this district attorney's office? We're shoplifting chicken tenders? What's happening here, sir?
Shoplifting $20 worth of chicken tenders from Market Basket, and next thing you know, you got folks from Market Basket showing up on a trial date. Much more things are much more that are worth much more than $20. And just having their hands tied, saying, we get it from the people up top. We can't dismiss these cases. We can't do anything else. I think giving the line prosecutors more discretion to prosecutorial discretion, which is one of the bedrocks of being able to serve justice in.
Call me Mr. Flintstone. I can make your bed rock, girl. What is happening? Like, I think that I would find this person entertaining or endearing or interesting if, like, he seems like he just should have a podcast or something. I would listen to a podcast where he's just, words are coming out of his mouth and we don't know where they're going and we end up somewhere where then he says something that he actually doesn't agree with and then he backtracks and then he says, no, it wasn't that. It was actually just about humanity. But sir, you're running for district attorney. What are you talking about right now? Do you know what you're talking about right now?
in a county, in a state, giving line prosecutors more prosecutorial discretion in their opinion. I mean, they're your employees, they're an extension of you, so trust them with that extension.
What? They didn't even tell him his time was up. He was like, take the mic like a hot potato. Okay. Now here's the big question, because this is your office. You have worked there for 25 years. You said you are so proud of all the work that you've done in this office, but now you're going to have to critique the office that you love so much.
So I just spoke about emerging adults court, and I think that that would be one of my first priorities. But I will say, I think the number one thing that has to be done with the DA's office is we have to expand the notion of a conflict of interest. So that if officers are showing up at a scene and they know a witness, they know a suspect, they know a victim, they are taken out of the case. And we rotate in objective people who don't know the parties, because I believe that that is present in both of the two cases that we were first asked about, or we all first commented about, was the Reed and the Birchmore matters. The conflict of interest there was right at the beginning, and we have to prevent that from happening again, so people have faith in the DA's office. So if people know, if investigators or prosecutors know individuals in the case, they have to be taken out.
Yes,
I'll
I
say
agree.
one of the other things that I want to create is I want to create an animal cruelty unit. I had the
Now, you could have actually talked about specifics. Like, you are in a room in Canton where everybody knows the people you're talking about. The way that Adam Deitch was able to stay on one topic and fully flesh it out and apply it to what happened, like, we're alluding to what happened. So I agree with you. Addressing conflict of interest would be a great reform that you want to make in the office. Name it. Say, oh, it was present in both of the cases. Where? Tell us who. Say, Michael Proctor is best family friends, a second family to the Alberts, and he shouldn't have been investigating the case from the very beginning. And we should have rotated somebody else in, even though he rotated himself in because he wasn't even on the schedule, but that's a whole other story. Name it. No. You know what we're going to do instead? We're going to talk about puppy dough. You guys know that puppy dough is a problem? Hold your horses. There's a whole new problem is about to enter the chat.
Opportunity to prosecute a case known as puppy dough. It was a significant case. It was the first time in Massachusetts history we entered in canine DNA. I won't go into the details of how badly abused that dog was. But because of that case and the investigation, we realized that animal cruelty doesn't happen in a vacuum. In fact, it touches on drug abuse, financial abuse, spousal abuse. In that case, it touched on elder abuse. Because the perpetrator of that crime, not only did he abuse that dog, he was charged with taking care of a senior woman with dementia. And he stole over $100,000 from her in savings bonds and jewelry. So we see this now with these types of cases.
So we can talk specifics about puppy dough. We went as puppy dough Chloe. Oh, no, Chloe has a name. Chloe is Chloe and Chloe is Cora. Chloe has two names. Chloe is not a dough. Chloe is the opposite of a puppy dough. Chloe is buried under a pool. We can talk specifics. You are like fully going specifics. Like, this man took care of an elderly woman and stole $100,000 from her. We don't know what you're talking about. We don't know who you're talking about. This is not something that is plaguing Norfolk County. However, that other talking point that you were just talking about with the whole like conflict of interest and rotating people off of the case, that is something, if you even alluded to specifics, if you said case officer, whatever we're supposed to pretend that Proctor was, we would know what you were talking about. We would be like, I'm on board with, I'm picking up what you're putting down. But instead, we're just talking about cookie dough.
And then if the animal abuse case could turn us on to other avenues of prosecution and identify true abusers out there. So we do need to get that going.
True abusers out there. It seems like that little clause that you just said right there ties into what Busy's bringing up with John Fanning and John Fanning's connections to, I don't know, the Stoughton Police Department and true abusers. I wonder if there are any true abusers in power in Norfolk County. Greg, do you know any? Can't seem to think of any. I would love if you jogged my memory.
I will say also, one of the last things I did in the DA's office before I left was I wrote to the superintendent of the state police.
This is the last time I'm pausing it, I swear, Ben. Joey Potts said Connor can't talk about the elephant in the room. He is the elephant in the room.
And I offered, I would like to create a college-level course. A college-level course.
No, it wasn't the last time I'm pausing it. What? Okay. So we hopped over the thing that's actually a problem in Norfolk County, and then we talked about puppy dough, and now you want to I think that Greg Connor wants to be a teacher. He has brought up education in all three of his answers, and out of the DA's office, he wants to start a college level course. Where? Like in the DA's office, we're going to go to college. Is it a college? Is it accredited? Is it a college for people who are already enrolled in college? What are you talking about? Who's going to teach it? What's happening? Is it for the puppies? Is it puppy school? Puppy college? Cookie dough college? What?
Paid for with the funds from drug seized monies. This course, which would be paid for not by the taxpayer, but by drug dealers, would be set up for state troopers and local investigators to learn how to properly investigate homicide cases, collect evidence, conduct interviews. With this course.
I'm sorry. Why are we hiring people who don't know how to collect evidence and conduct interviews? Why don't they do that before you hire them? You're saying, I got you. You're saying you're going to start a college for Trooper Paul. The college for the people that couldn't get into college, but they still got hired because they had connections, because it's still your office. So it's still Morrissey's office. So all you need, it's a two-tiered system. So all you need is a connection. You don't need a degree. You don't need experience. So you're going to hire a bunch of people with no experience, and then you're going to train them. Gotcha.
Once that investigator had a certificate, and it was open to all departments, they would be able to work on homicides in this county. The idea of increasing training for investigators, I think, is critical, and we have the opportunity and the funds to do it without taxing the rest of the Commonwealth. So that would be the fourth initiative that I would want to get going from the start of my DA's office. Thank you.
Will there be a graduation? Will the drug dealers who funded it be there to celebrate? Will the drug dealers who fund it get to go to the college? What? Is that different than the academy? How is the academy different from your college? What's your college going to be called? What's happening?
So.
Okay, wait. Everybody take a big deep breath. We're going to just listen to the words and we're going to ignore the feeling. Because we're going to see if what she's saying is different than how it makes us feel.
I think that the number one issue facing the Norfolk County DA's office is trust and trying to rebuild that trust. The first thing that I would do is establish a transition team made up of the most highly respected former prosecutors, criminal defense attorneys, criminal law professors around the state, and many of whom are.
I can't do it. I already feel anxious. Why does she make me feel so anxious? Like I feel like I'm in trouble every time she talks.
My former colleagues. And I would then conduct a top to bottom audit of the entire office, a review of personnel, a review of all policies, protocols, and procedures, a review of all trainings that people have received, and a forensic look back at all of the cases that we're all talking about. Where did this office go wrong and what happened? And I would then, to the extent possible, because of course there's privacy issues, to the extent possible, I would publish that report to the public, because I think we all want to know what the hell happened. And so the second thing I would do is I will publish prosecution.
Sorry, what the hell happened? What are you talking about? Literally, what? I don't want to go back because I can't go through that again. But what the hell happened? What? Who? Yes, yes. She's like an auctioneer. She has the cadence of an auctioneer. What is happening? What was she referencing a specific kid? I actually truly don't know what she was just talking about. Yes, she is the HOA president that comes around on like January 4th to make sure that you took your Christmas tree down.
Outcomes on the website, eliminating names, obviously. Middlesex County does that. It is the only one to do that. I will also publish investigative reports of officer-involved shootings on the website. That is also something that Suffolk County does and Middlesex County does and Norfolk County does not. I would ensure that we actually have a homicide response team in the Norfolk DA's office where district attorneys are assigned to go to every single sudden death in the county. I would also establish a domestic violence high-risk response team, which is specially trained advocates and district attorneys who are assigned to ensure that domestic violence and sexual assault cases get prosecuted appropriately. That's a recommendation of the statewide Committee on Domestic Violence Fatality Reviews. There are so many things. I would have a clear conflict of interest policy for staff, and I would also require staff to report internally to our office any suspected police misconduct so that we can appropriately take care of it. Because in the end, it's the district attorney, it's not the police, who are ultimately responsible for all evidence that is taken, all evidence that is presented in court. And I will not have my license nor the license of anyone else in my office be sacrificed for any kind of police misconduct. So there are so many things. When I was a district attorney in Suffolk County, the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office was a national model for prosecution. There's something called the Quincy model for domestic violence prosecutions. And by the way, and I cannot believe how it has unraveled since then. By the way, I think that some of the worst crimes that we're seeing.
So, by the way, it was clearly on one of her index cards that she practiced, and we just got stuck on it. I don't know what she's talking about. I am so, she really makes me feel so frazzled. I don't understand what she cares about. This is what I mean by I feel like she jumped in this race and she was first. And she... No, we're 44.4% better. She jumped into this race because she thought it was just going to be her and Morrissey, and she would slide in, and she thought it would be a cool job. I don't understand what she cares about. I feel like I would never want her in my house because it wouldn't meet her standards. No, but I also feel like her house, if this didn't have her name tag there for the whole entire thing, I feel like her outfits are giving that her house is not that nice. That was mean, but just saying.
Here, one of the positive things I hear about District Attorney Morrissey is what he's done with drugs, and how he has addressed the opioid crisis in the county. I think that work should be continued and even expanded on. I'd love to see another drug court, aside from the one that we just have. But most of the worst things in our lives, most of the worst crimes in our community are happening in our homes and at school. So those are the things that I would focus on.
I'm sorry, what? The worst crimes in our communities are happening in our homes and at school? You're just going to toss that in at the end? What's happening in school? What? Are we addressing it? I haven't heard what's happening at school. What? Should I be worried? What are you talking about? Salty Greg is still not clapping, but also Macy wasn't clapping, maybe because she also feels a little bit anxious, so I'll give her that.
What would I change about the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office? I don't know that 3 minutes is enough for most of us up here. In this race, I was the first candidate to introduce a comprehensive policy agenda, which is on my website. It's Adam's Accountability Agenda, and it is a 10 or more point series of changes that I would make. So I'm just going to talk about a few today. But first and foremost, I think what has come to light over the past few years mandates a review of every single case in Norfolk County where victims and their families still do not have answers. Every case where something was charged and there wasn't a conviction, or nothing was charged and there was no justice, we need all of those cases reviewed. Second, I want to establish something called it would be a first of its kind, something called an anti-corruption task force, a dedicated prosecutor, a dedicated investigator who are tackling corruption issues in Norfolk County, a place where people can report allegations of corruption and be assured that those allegations will actually be investigated. Not only will—
Now, he's right. We should do that. But can you imagine what the forensic girls are going to do with a hotline? We already see what a whole bunch of people do with Twitter. You're going to give them a hotline? That is so brave. That's how I know that this man means business. Because he's like, we might get 6,000 calls from Plevin a day, but then we get one call from Judy down the street who actually really wants to report something. And we will sit through all of the Plevin calls till we get to Judy's call and we will address it. And that is how I know that he is serious. I spoke at my DARE graduation in 5th grade. I wrote a poem. It was like, I'll talk about that another time.
we then be— there was no justice, we need all of those cases reviewed. Second, I want to establish something called it would be a first of its kind, something called an anti-corruption task force, a dedicated prosecutor, a dedicated investigator who are tackling corruption issues in Norfolk County, a place where people can report allegations of corruption and be assured that those allegations will actually be investigated. Not only will we then be able to root out corruption in Norfolk County, but we will be sending a message to the public that corruption isn't okay here. I want to establish a real conviction integrity unit where we prevent wrongful convictions before they happen and institute policies that ensure that wrongful convictions will not happen in Norfolk County. I want to establish a dedicated cold case unit where for unsolved serious violent crimes, we have investigators and prosecutors invested in those outcomes. I could go on and on, but today, and some of the other speakers have alluded to this, text messages sent to and from a detective in the State Police Detective Unit that is housed under the roof of the DA's office were made public. And as a couple people up here have described them, and many of you may have seen them as it's making news as we speak right now, they are among the most appalling, horrific messages that I have ever seen in my life. And I've seen some pretty awful text messages from some pretty awful people in my work as a federal prosecutor. And because of that, I today announced that I am calling for the resignation effective immediately of Michael Morrissey as district attorney. Because
that moment made me so relieved that, like, if you saw at the beginning, like, this is a packed room at the Canton Library. And, like, granted, it is Canton, so there's a little bit more interest than, like, maybe other towns have. But if everybody is as engaged as this audience is, where they immediately hear I call for the resignation of Michael Morrissey and start clapping and have not clapped for any other line in this entire debate, this is the energy that we need. And I will say, while I am paused and don't have to stop it again, Kazuko, right, you said earlier, are you going to write a nice letter and to all the other candidates and ask them to please step aside? I do think that there is like a sweet spot where you actually want the field to be bigger because it brings in more potential voters. So if you think about right now, like the Craig McClellan guy, he seems like somebody who has a really big circle. And right now he's campaigning and he's getting out and he's telling people, like, he's telling all the basketball dads and all the hockey dads and and he's telling all of his high school friends and his elementary school friends, and they don't text like Proctor and Goody. They're just like nice, cool guys. Sometimes they like get together for a couple beers, and he's telling all of them, put up my yard sign, vote for me. The election September 1st, put a reminder in your phone right now, put it on your calendar. And there is a sweet spot where you can kind of hope that each one of these candidates is going to bring in more voters who are going to be at least a little bit curious about the election. Like, think about if you have a friend who's running for something and they say like, will you vote for me? At a certain point, you might be like, let me just like make sure that my friend is like the person I actually want to vote for. Like, love the guy, but like, I don't know. He's like really good on the school committee. I didn't know he knows anything about being district attorney. So then you start like looking into it. Keeping the field a little bit wider for a little bit of time, I think, is a good thing, especially in an election like this where there are people who don't even know that it's happening. Eventually, though, I would like for at least 1, 2, 3 of them to say their goodbyes. Also, I think that there is something about, if anybody watches The Bachelor, the person who wins the first impression rose almost never wins, because there's something about being the front runner at the beginning that makes people feel complacent. And if you feel like you're not the front runner at the beginning, you work harder and you run like you're in second place. And I think that that is a good place for Deitch right now to feel like he's in, even if he's actually not. Like, he did get the most signatures and stuff. But I think if he runs like he's behind right now, that will be a good thing for him.
That is housed under the roof of the DA's office were made public. And as a couple people up here have described them, and many of you may have seen them as it's making news as we speak right now, they are among the most appalling, horrific messages that I have ever seen in my life. And I've seen some pretty awful text messages from some pretty awful people in my work as a federal prosecutor. And because of that, I today announced that I am calling for the resignation, effective immediately, of Michael Morrissey as district attorney. Because January cannot come soon enough. There are crimes being committed, prosecutions happening in Norfolk County right now, and I do not trust Michael Morrissey to run this office anymore. And so thank you very much.
Oh, Jesus. No problem. I lost track.
I've been forgotten before, so yeah.
He gave him a hug because he forgot him. That was so cute.
Soon enough. There are crimes being committed, prosecutions happening in Norfolk County right now, and I do not trust Michael Morrissey to run this office anymore. And so thank you very much.
Oh, Jesus. No problem. I lost track.
I've been forgotten before, it's okay. You may have noticed that in my answers to these questions, I don't get into the specifics a lot of criminal practice.
We did notice that.
There's a reason for that. Look, you have a table full of people that in some cases we've been practicing criminal law here in Massachusetts for decades. And so we all have some good ideas. We have some interesting stories. We have some inspirational cases that we were part of. And you know.
Yes, Craig, we don't know those. We are the voters. We would like to hear from you about those so that we can decide if you're qualified to be the district attorney. I love that you have some good stories. Can you tell them to us? You know he tells a good bedtime story.
Sure. Do I have specific visions for, ideas, policy concepts for the office? Sure. We should expand diversion programming. We should expand support for victims. We should reevaluate and reimagine how we investigate deaths and whether we use the CPAC unit strictly. There's all kinds of different ideas. But the real issue here, okay, is that we're failing to harness the most powerful resource we have in government. And that's the problem with the DA's office.
What is
that resource?
Kryptonite.
It's you. That is the problem with the DA's office. We are not.
I am the problem with the DA's office. It's you. What are you talking about? What is happening here? What I tell us, what did you just say about CPAC? Because that was actually that's been a problem. I would like to know how you would fix that problem. But no, the problem is you. What?
Okay, is that we are failing to harness the most powerful resource we have in government, and that's the problem with the DA's office. What is that resource? It's you. That is the problem with the DA's office. We are not connecting to the public that we serve. There is very little awareness about what the DA's office does. The number one priority should be building awareness about what the DA's office does, because
No, sir. I'm actually very aware about what this DA's office has been doing. And I hate it. I hate all of it. And actually, if you were listening a second ago, Adam Deitch was just talking about there was actually a really big problem. It's that the Massachusetts State Police officers that work in that office are horrible, horrible people that maybe you should be prosecuting instead of working side by side with. The more aware that I am of this office, the less I trust it. But what? We're the problem.
that will empower people to effectuate change, to share their ideas, their concepts, which are just as, if not more important than mine. And that's what I brought to the school committee in Cohasset. That's the approach. And that's how you know I will do that as DA.
No, but see, that's the right energy for the school committee, because the school committee, you have all the parents and everybody has these ideas and people are complaining on Facebook and people are complaining to their friends in Starbucks. And you want people to know that they can come to the school committee meetings and they can complain in person, and then they can harness those complaints to really make changes in the school. That is not how a DA's office operates. What are you talking? Sir, I think you should be president of the world of school committees, all the school committees. You should be the school committee superhero that comes into every school committee meeting in every state in every country. But this is the district attorney's race. What are you talking about? You are adorable and very tall.
Okay, we need your ideas to improve, because once you build awareness, people are postured to participate.
Pay me. I'll come and tell you my ideas. Pay me. Hire me. I would love to come in and tell you all my ideas. Not for free. What? Go on Twitter. There's a whole lot of ideas on Twitter. Sir, you don't have one idea? He has really big hands.
They get excited about it. And a great example of this is our state auditor, Diana DeZoglio. Okay, she is someone who has taken a somewhat obscure office. Most of you couldn't name probably the prior auditor, and has used it. She's built awareness about it in a way that matters to people and has gotten them excited about it, has gotten 72% of people to agree that we need to allow at the legislature. That is good government, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we need from the district attorney. And that's exactly what I intend to do as DA. I am going to engage with the communities, find ways to extract the amazing value here, to come up with innovative and effective programming that makes Norfolk County a safer, stronger community. And so when there are problems, there are failures, there are challenges we need to confront, people know and trust the district attorney and the office because they have familiarity with it. They have meaningful relationships that have been established and built over time. So that is the number one reform we need in the DA's office, is to include all of you in what it does. Thank you.
Like, I feel like if I was like trapped on a mountain and I felt like I couldn't take one more step, like that's the guy that I want beside me being like, there's nothing that you can't do. And if you just envision yourself at the top of this mountain, but sir, you're running for district attorney. I don't understand. He would be a great anything else. He'd be a great motivational speaker. He could actually I could see him on the front cover of those like really cheesy books where they like tour around Florida and they go into like conference rooms full of like Michael Proctor type guys. And it's like, you have the power to make your life better. Even though everybody in your life has always been mean to you, it's not your fault, it's theirs. He would be really good at that. And he would make people feel, actually, these two guys could go to his motivational speakers meeting. but it's just not district attorney. It's anything else where you need to motivate people to do anything else. But district attorney is not a motivational position. I just can't also with like the way, like Greg Connor is sitting there like he wants to be in bed at home. He's hungry. He's tired. He has to go back to the office and figure out what news stations are going to air Proctor's text tomorrow morning.
Sorry. So you always forgotten you forgot me. Like Adam said, 3 minutes is simply not long enough for all the plans that I have in my head about reforming the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. But the first thing I would do is, as I've done with 2 previous leadership positions, is to go in and study all the policies, get to know the staff, understand how things are run, and start putting people in place. I'm a very lucky person because I have a wonderful team, mostly consisting of former Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, many from the homicide unit that have tried hundreds of homicide cases in some of the most violent crimes in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. These people stand by me, and they are ready to come and help me lead the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office and help train how cases should be prosecuted. One glaring example that I found is in the Karen Reed trial, the first one, that ADA tried his first homicide case without a second chair. That is something that should never happen in a DA's office. In Suffolk County, when there's a
Laliwana Baba
first time prosecutor trying a homicide case, there's always a second chair. And even when a very experienced prosecutor tries a case, there's someone from the appellate unit. And I served 5 years in the appellate unit handling first-degree murder.
Is she calling out Greg? I actually don't know if she's going for Lally. I think she's going at Greg because I didn't realize that the first time I just heard this. So she's saying he needed a partner. He needed somebody to support him on this. He needed another ADA. He needed Greg. And Greg said, nah, I don't. I'm scared to tie myself to that case because I want your job in a little while. And I think that if I tie myself to that case, then that will be bad for my chances of being the all-powerful. Mm-hmm. And instead, Greg was getting everybody coffee. He was just taking up a seat. He was just auctioning off his seat every day. He did. Actually, this is shady to Lamagla.
Conviction appeals. I would sit there and counsel the prosecutor as what the law is, what's admissible, what's not, what should be done. We can preserve the record if it goes to the SJC. So that is something that should be done. And I don't believe that that's happening in the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, resulting in a mistrial. And
see, this is where I feel like they need to get like a little bit shadier. Like you're just in the Canton Library. Like this is not like national news. You're not going to like make headlines. So when she says something like, I don't think this is happening in the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, I would turn to Greg and say, is it? And then just wait.
Having to spend taxpayers' money of over close to $1 million to hire a defense attorney to try the case the second time. So that's something that I would do, is to understand the structural oversight, who is managing, who is supervising. The second thing is, as I mentioned earlier, drugs continue to plague our communities. And I cannot think of anyone else who has a lot of drug experience. And that's something that I would like to continue to do, but take it to a higher level. But I think one of the most important things that I like to do is, one of my favorite persons in law enforcement is William Gross. He was the former commissioner of the Boston Police Department. He has fully endorsed me. He came out and endorsed me a week after I announced my candidacy. And what former Commissioner Gross used to do was walk the neighborhoods of every neighborhood in Suffolk County so he can connect with the people. I've done that already. I have knocked on probably close to 1,000 doors at this point in 27 towns in Norfolk County. And I'm going to continue to do so, not because it helps me get my steps in, because I need to, but I truly enjoy connecting with the community and getting to know you and your concerns and your family and your neighborhood and what are some of the things you want to talk about. And I've gotten to know so many wonderful people just by doing that. And I will continue doing that instead of sitting in my office in an ivory tower thinking that all this job is politics, because it's not. It's leadership. Thank you.
That just reminded me, you guys, today I got home from bringing Carter to get a haircut, which is literally like going to war. And on my door was this. And if Adam Deitch for real was at my house and left this at my door and I missed him, I'm so mad. But if it was one of his people, I also am mad. I'm just sad that I missed it. But I got a little picture of him. Look how cute he is.
Okay, thank you. Some of you guys are used to closing statement, closing remarks. 1 minute.
So Trooper Paul was like, I got an idea. You want 1 more minute? Because I don't know what I was going to say. So you guys want to talk some more? Okay, everybody. Deep breath. Juna's teal suit is going to bring it home. Also, should I invite Bearcat on here? Like, if I did, I would want to do like not an interview with him the way I did with like Adam Deitch. I would want to like hash things out with him and be like, what is going on, sir? Like, where are your values and why do you think I hate women?
Real question in this race, I think, is about leadership. Which of us is best suited? Yep, thank you. Which of us is best suited to lead this office, to reform it the way it should be reformed, to bring us all the justice that we deserve, and to be strong enough to fight against whatever comes our way, whether it's from inside the state or out. And so the question is, who, as the voter, you are really buying our judgment, the judgment and leadership qualities. So is the right person.
I'm sorry, as the person, you're buying our judgment. Those are words, I guess. I like when she said suited in her little teal too tight suit. I still don't understand the pin. Can we confirm if it's for Pride and that's confirmed, then I'm not going to talk about it anymore. But it looks like a pin that she wears a lot.
Someone who was on the executive staff of the district attorney's office and did nothing for the past 5 years. Is the right person someone who had all the resources of the federal government at his disposal to investigate corruption in Norfolk County and did not bring any charges? Or is it someone with...
Bitch. Nope, you lost me. Ma'am, I am literally speechless. I actually didn't watch till the end of this. I didn't know they had closing arguments. You think that Adam Deitch just didn't want to press charges and now he's just here because he's just like kicking it? What? Oh.
In Norfolk County and did not bring any charges? Or is it someone with 33 years of experience, someone who was on the executive staff of the district attorney's office and did nothing for the past 5 years? Is the right person someone who had all the resources of the federal government at his disposal to investigate corruption in Norfolk County and did not bring any charges? Or is it someone with 33 years of experience fighting for regular people every single day and getting real results? Decades in prison, six-figure settlements for victims of crime, and six-figure victims.
No, she called out Connor and then she called out Deitch. She said, with the resources of the federal government who didn't press charges. She did call it Connor. That was fine. The 5 years, that was fine.
Yeah, six-figure settlements for victims of crime and fighting bullies every single day. I ask for your vote on September 1st.
Thank you everyone for coming out tonight and listening to this group. I think you have a number of qualified candidates here who are presenting thoughtful ideas and have spent a lot of time invested in change in the future of this office. But it comes down to a question: who should lead the office next? And I think at the end of the day, I am not your typical district attorney candidate. I'm not a former state prosecutor. I'm not a member of Michael Morrissey's leadership team. I'm a former federal prosecutor. I'm someone who specializes in public corruption cases. With my work for the Innocence Project, I've seen some of the hardest cases from both sides. And I think this is the rare moment where an outside perspective, the best practices of maybe the best run prosecutor's office in New England, the U.S. Attorney's Office, that is what we need in Norfolk County for this job in this moment. So look forward to seeing you all between now and primary day. Thank you again for having us.
Look, I think I've mentioned that, I pledged to you that, I'll run an office that constantly improves the service to you. So in doing so, I'm going to keep this as short as possible and
There's nothing to say.
Candidate. But all I want to say is that at first, thanks for your attention. Thanks for being here. And I just like to continue the conversation with you. You'll see me out and about in your town, in other towns.
He's like, I'm actually just here to make friends. Like, this was like a nice way I can get to go to, I'm from Cohasset, but like I get to branch out a little bit. I'm on an island. It's not, Cohasset is Norfolk County Island. It's not connected to the rest of the mainland of Norfolk County. So this gets me out and about. I really like the vibe in Milton. So I'll be there in a little bit. I want to shake your hand. If anybody has any restaurant recommendations in Norwood or Westwood, I haven't really explored those areas yet. Like, every time that they hand him the mic, he's like, they're going to say some things and they're going to say some things. And I'm just happy to be here. And I'm tall.
There's some literature about me, my contact information. Text me, call me. I'd love to talk to you. Because
text me or call me. I love this guy. Not for district attorney. He doesn't even want to be district attorney. Listen, you guys. If she that was shocking to me that she just flat out called out Deitch that directly for no reason. Like, he didn't do anything to you. And it wasn't up to him. He was investigating. It wasn't up to him to be able to tie it all together. Also, he did everything that he could in his power. And it's not his fault that, like, Morrissey and Lally and all of them suck, and she missed the mark on that. Well, actually, she was smart to go after him because he is her competitor. Yeah, call me, beat me if you want to reach me.
I'd like to continue the conversation with you. You'll see me out and about in your town, in other towns. There's some literature about me, my contact information. Text me, call me. I'd love to talk to you because, again, you're our greatest resource. So I think you've got a sense of where I stand, what I'm about. But please, let's continue the conversation. Okay? Thank you so much.
This is exactly what happened. Chad said, oh my God, did Craig lose his fantasy football league and he's running as punishment? That is 100% what happened. Also, look at Greg Connor just hanging his head in shame. Like, even Craig's like, dude, everybody likes me. Why aren't you looking at me? Everybody always smiles at me. I'm very fun. I'm handsome. I'm nice. Why aren't you looking at me?
I think my record's proven in terms of leadership, management, and prosecutorial. And the only thing I want to say is I look forward to knocking on your door. I hope it's not during dinner time because that's happened or you're trying to put a baby to sleep. But I look forward to meeting all of you individually. And like I said, knocking on your doors. My goal is to hit a lot of doors by September 1st. And I look forward to meeting everyone. And my record's proven on the internet. You can look up any of my drug investigations. You can go on the Mass Health website, look up the Board of Hearings. You can find every single one of our decisions posted.
Thanks, Macy. I'm so excited for the homework assignment. Macy would be great if Adam Deitch didn't exist. Like, she would be fine. She doesn't have the right, like she's not here for this moment and this moment only. I feel like she would have run for DA in any race. She was like, okay, this is the time. Adam Deitch is here for this moment and this race and this district district, period, this county, this corruption, this problem. He hasn't had like be district attorney on his vision board for the last 25 years the way DeJuna has.
You can read my decisions to see how I write, and some of them are very lengthy. And like I said, my record speaks for itself that I am the best candidate for the Norfolk County District Attorney's position. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming tonight. I will say for the last 7 or 8 years of my career, I've spent it trying to fight for victims on some of the most serious crimes in the Commonwealth. And I had the opportunity to prosecute Emmanuel Lopes for murdering Vera Adams and Sergeant Michael Chesna. That took years to get that case to trial and get it done. We had one juror hold out, and we had a mistrial. We retried it. We did it. After that, I convicted Brian Walsh for murdering Anna Walsh.
I feel like Craig McClellan wouldn't have had a holdout. I bet he's so good with the jurors. Like, nobody is holding out on Craig McClellan. You hold out on Greg Connor. You're like, I don't know, I just don't trust that guy. Like, I feel like I understand the facts of the case and like I get it, but like, what if it's just because this guy is skeezy? Craig McClellan, no. Craig McClellan will sell something to the jury and they're all like, I'm on board, whatever you say. No, you're not a hero at all.
And we did that without a body. I've worked tirelessly to make sure that people were.
That's not really the flex that you think it is, because why wasn't there a body? Anna went missing on January 1st, and you were talking to Brian Walsh by January 4th, right? That was the first interview. You had everything seized from him by January 8th. You had already watched all of the video cameras and dumpster diving and the lows, and you couldn't get one single shred of evidence. There wasn't anything. You didn't have a body. You didn't have a big blood stain. You didn't have DNA in a weird place. You didn't have what? That's not the flex you think it is, sir. Sorry. Like a no-body crime from like 25 years ago, that would be cool. Like to put that together. That would take some like actual police work. You're lucky that the Cohasset police were involved at all, because they're the only ones that recorded interviews and actually did anything. And you still didn't talk to Brian Walsh's mom.
Times in the Commonwealth. And I had the opportunity to prosecute Emmanuel Lopes for murdering Vera Adams and Sergeant Michael Chesna. That took years to get that case to trial and get it done. We had one juror hold out, and we had a mistrial. We retried it. We did it. After that, I convicted Brian Walsh for murdering Anna Walsh, and we did that without a body. I've worked tirelessly to make sure that people were held accountable.
Wait, also, what was his partner's name with the good hair? Kelly or something? I feel like she did more than he did. Am I thinking of the right person?
Prosecuted lawyers, I prosecuted doctors, I prosecuted cops. I will say, when you think about the next leader, think about who's endorsing him. I've been endorsed by over a dozen labor unions, but I've been endorsed by the Massachusetts Coalition of Police Officers, the largest police union in the state, and I've been endorsed by the Norfolk County Police Chiefs Association. They believe that I should be the next DA, and I hope that you do too. Thank you.
I don't at all.
So ostensibly, the DA should want to lower the crime rates within our county. Now, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, contributor to recidivism is the first time someone goes into jail. So if we can do what we can, not only is it humane, it only makes sense using data-driven prosecution, that if we can stop first-time, low-level, non-violent offenders from going into the prison system in the first place, it's going to be less people on the other end who's going to end up committing crimes. Now, I want to talk really quickly, because I only have 30 seconds left now, is that I know everyone in this room is here because you care about Norfolk County, and I love to see it. So if it's not for me, I want everyone to show up on election day and vote for one of us, so we can bring our vision forward. And I'm just going to quickly paraphrase one of my favorite politicians, that if you agree with 9 things I've said, vote for me. If you agree with 12 things I've said, go see a psychiatrist.
have another big round of applause, everybody up there.
Look at the turnout. Standing room only. Like a real, what is it called? Like a slice of life, a real representation of the community. That, Greg, was nice to Bearcat at the end. Hi, Meatball. The reason why I asked you earlier if you were home is I wanted you to set up your redirect so I can send everybody to your new channel.
Once again, we'd like to thank all of the candidates taking time out of their very busy schedules. Thank you so much.
Adam Deitch just looks like the class pet. Like, look at him. He's still just sitting at attention, listening, looking, like making such attentive eye contact. He's still engaged. He's like, I'm right here he's like the little puppy in 101 Dalmatians that sits right up at the front of the TV. Look at him. He's so cute. I love him.
It's very important. And don't forget, September 1st, the primary. Let's not forget. So we're going to now, this was the end of the first portion. We're going to go on to the second portion, which is the state rep seat. So thank you so much.
Wait, Adam Deitch wanted to shake everybody's hand and they were already gone. Look at him look around. That was the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Once again, we'd like to thank all of the candidates taking time out of their very busy schedules. Thank you so much. This was very important. And don't forget, September 1st, the primary. Let's not forget. So we're going to now, this was the end of the first portion. We're going to go on to the second portion, which is the state rep seat. So thank you so much.
Look at, he gets one handshake. Nobody's there. That was so cute. Oh, I love him. Okay. Harbinger of Imminent Death sent $20 and said, thank you for covering this. Truly, truly thank you all for caring about this. Like this really we can only make a difference when people are informed and when they care. The first thing that like Norfolk County voters, like what I feel worried about right now is that Norfolk County voters are not going to tie what they're seeing on the news about Proctor, and now Karen's back in the news, and I think that's great. I'm really actually like oddly feeling proud of her that she like is feeling comfortable and confident to go on the Today Show, even though they gave her a terrible interview. I was like, I love seeing how Alan Jackson is like still there for her and that they're like still chipping away at the problems in Norfolk County. I think that like the general public understands that Proctor was a problem. What happened to Karen was a problem. It was good that Karen was acquitted. Like, I feel like that's kind of the general vibe. I don't know that the general public is like tying this yet to the district attorney's office. And I don't know that like the general public is realizing that this all stems out of Michael Morrissey's office, aka Greg Connor, who's been there along for the ride the whole time, and you don't get to fake distance yourself now. And that is what makes me feel like excited that you guys are invested in this and you guys are here, because even if each one of you just like brings it up in conversation to one person, maybe he's not even a voter in Norfolk County, but that person knows a voter in Norfolk County, like this is how the message gets spread, and like the connections that are a little bit more like nuanced than just like Michael Proctor said the worst possible things ever and gross. I think that's really what we need to be able to show why this election is important. Like that's step one. And then after people are like, oh, okay, this is an important election, let me see like who all of these candidates are. Then there's like 6 more steps still to get to Deitch. Also though, like, how can you not love him? If you watch this, like, I feel like if objectively, if you didn't know a single thing about Norfolk County at all, and you just played that recording and said like who was the best, like it's Deitch, hands down. So that's that. I was gonna do more, but we're not going to. I'm going to bed. I hope you all have a lovely evening. And yes, Meatball, we will get you set up with your redirect. And everybody right now, until then, go do a little clickety click on Meatball Morrissey Sketty Stains because her first show is now scheduled. It's going to be at 6 a.m. Also, like 6 a.m. Can we talk about that? Okay, I'm going to sleep. Good night. You guys are the best. I'll see you soon. I don't know when. Bye.
If you need a place to breathe, some stress to just relieve, then come watch Emily C, where we keep it drama free. We want justice for John O'Keefe, Aiden and Kelsey, waved bye bye to Morrissey. Let's clean up Norfolk County. Emily C, the one we need, reading sidebars with Corey, writing Hank diaries, giving the people what they need. It's my pleasure to entertain, keeping you laughing makes my day. Positivity all the way. What do we tell Satan? Not today. And now it's time to say goodbye. But before we say goodnight, just keep one thing in mind.